All right, guys, we should be good to go, and we should be live. All right, here we go. All right, we're gonna wait for a few people to settle in here. Usually takes a few minutes for the full crowd to show up, but once they do, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Today we'll be taking live requests. This should be a pretty fun one because we have a full list already. So let's go ahead and let's see what everyone had to say on our most recent poll, which was posted earlier today. All right, a fair amount of votes too. It looks like most people were interested in geometry nodes. So that's probably what we're going to get into today. Let's go ahead and check it out. All right, here we go. All right, we're going to go ahead and pull up for everybody the list that we had from earlier. And we're taking live suggestions up front. All right. You go ahead and open up our list from earlier. There we go. Alrighty. Okay, here we go. Creators I watch. We talked about that earlier. Okay, here we go. All right, so now that we're back into it, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the things that people were talking about. All right, World Cup football. Okay, well, maybe we'll look into that. Knight armor model. Now, basically, all these things are suggestions that you guys had from the last live stream, and we're going to be kind of looking into some of these, and yeah, this should be a pretty fun one. So first, we're going to wait for everybody to kind of show up here, again, like I said, and then we're going to hop right into this. All right. I think I kind of want to start. I want to look at this World Cup football, maybe kind of go from there. There's a lot of things that we built in geometry nodes, so I think that's pretty much like the heavy focus that people are looking for. If you guys are here right now in the chat, go ahead and say hello. Let us know how you're doing. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at. This was kind of cool. A knight armor model, that could be cool. AK-47 model, that could be interesting as well. There was a lot of fun requests. One of the cool models that we made last time, I'll go ahead and pull it up if it's in here. Yeah, we made a really, oh, this one was cool. So this was a model that we made on the live stream when we were last here. This was a really fun one. This was the Galactic, I forget what it was called specifically, but this is the Galactic spaceship. This one was insanely cool to. This one was a lot of fun, honestly. So this was something we built last time, but if you guys want, go ahead and start popping into the chat. Let us know what it is that you want to focus on today, and we'll kind of go from there. I'm going to go ahead and start a quick poll, and I'm going to say vote for your interests. All right, and I'll go ahead and say geometry nodes and modeling. There you go. All right, and whatever you guys want is what we will create today. And hello to Nicola, is it Nicola Rachi? I think I said that. Nicola Rachi, yeah. Nice. Very cool name, by the way. All right, so far we have one vote for geometry nodes. Awesome. If you guys want to go ahead and drop your vote in there, we'll go ahead and get started. Yeah, this was a fun one, like I said. Now, it's funny because this is like all cycles. It's actually going like relatively quick for cycles. I am on GPU. Okay, I was going to say, I thought maybe for 1 second that I wasn't. Yeah, this thing's kind of sick. Wow, the geometry's pretty darn heavy on this one. Is beautiful. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, this one's a fun one. Or it was a fun one to create. It's crazy, like, the things you can actually create in Blender from pretty much from scratch, more or less. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. It looks like there's a 100% vote for geometry nodes, so I think that's probably what we'll get into here. Let's go ahead and start a new project here. And I guess it's a matter of like what you guys want to see created. There was a lot of modeling requests too, so I might even go with one of those. We didn't get too many votes, so we'll go ahead and take a look at some of the requests. Someone wanted a model of an AK-47, which is could be a cool thing. Again, it's not really like we don't promote anything like gun related on here, but modeling wise, it's probably good practice. Let me see here. World Cup football. I just want to look up what that looks like. I want to see what the official football looks like. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's the World Cup football. $170. Oh my gosh. Oh wow, that is. Whew, that is pricey right there. Oh my god. Wow. Yeah, maybe we'll. Wow, I'm definitely not gonna buy it. That's for sure. All right. All right, let's take a look here. We have bend a plane. Okay, let's do this real quick. Bend a plane with math nodes. Let's try that because that's geometry nodes. So I'm going to add a cube in here, make a new setup. Now, in order to make this look correct, we're going to go ahead and add a grid. And grid is what we're going to drive everything with. And then basically what a grid is it's just a plane. And we decide how many times that plane is subdivided, basically. So I think what I'll do for this one is I'll just type in a value node. And we'll just go ahead and plug that right into our vertices. Actually, you know what? We'll do integer instead. We'll do integer because technically you can't have like a weird number like 3.5 for the amount, if that makes sense. So, all right, we're good to go here. Now, the next thing we're going to want to do is set the position. All right, and we want to set the position basically like the offset. So I kind of want to show you guys how this works first. If we were to plug in like a noise texture and do a combine X, Y, Z, plug it into the Z. I just want to show you how this works. Yep. So if I uncheck normalize, there we go. You can kind of see what's happening here. We can basically scale this up and down, and this is basically driving the plane. So now it's just a matter of, okay, if we want to like curve the plane like outwards, we can actually do some of that with proximity. So I'll show you what I mean. I'll just go ahead and grab a UV sphere. I'll scale it down a bunch. And we'll go ahead and drag that sphere into here. And I'll just use the relative position. And we'll do proximity here. And then we'll take the distance and we'll plug it into the combine XYZ. But we want the Z. Plug it in here. There we go. And that's pretty much how you would curve it. And then look, as you can see, and we can adjust this with a map range, but as you can see, we're adjusting this based on where our where our sphere is, which is pretty cool. So now we have like complete control over like this grid and like kind of how it works, if you will. Honestly, I think it's pretty awesome. And there's a lot you can kind of do with this. Like, for example, if you wanted to, you could drive a noise texture, which is noise texture, with this specific thing. So now we have our sphere, right? And it's driving a noise texture, the vector specifically, but you can also have it drive the scale, the detail, the roughness, or even the distortion. We'll do scale for right now. And then what I'll do is I'll move my sphere around, and you can see how, notice how when I move, let's see, you can probably see it from the top down better. When I move this in or further and closer away, what I can do now is I believe if I do a color ramp right here, I can crunch this a little bit like this, and now watch, you're going to really see that. Notice how we have like that effect happening. So towards this side, it's less, and towards the middle, it's more. Does that make sense? So you can really have something pretty darn intense happening here. Try to do this. I don't want it to be too crazy because we want to be able to, yeah, there we go. Now you can kind of see what's happening. Wow, that's incredible. And then of course you can plug that into anything. You plug it into detail, you plug it into distortion. So now we're distorting it more as this goes along, or less, depending on how you look at it, right? And then again, same concept here with the scale is you're adjusting the distance. If you don't want to use a color ramp offset, that's totally fine. You can just do a vector scale to like increase it. All right, and now you can see, boom, see how it moves away? Everybody seeing that? Kind of trippy looking, right? If you scale it up or down, you can make it even more dramatic, right? And then the more vertices this has, basically like the smoother that result is going to be. Wow, what an awesome effect. It's probably hard to see right now, but it is happening. There we go, you kind of see a little bit better here. Oh. Everyone seeing that? How awesome is that? I love this stuff. I think it's so much fun. All right, we did that one. Let's go ahead and get the next request going here. All right, here we go. Next request, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Again, modeling. There's always the modeling. Let's see. Oh, you know, I really like the idea of this one, like something coding something else. We kind of talk about this every now and then, like how would you do that dynamic thing in geometry nodes? Well, there's a couple of ways that you can kind of like go about doing it. The first thing I think of is like you're distributing points on a surface. Distribute points We'll do distribute points on faces, and then I'll just recombine this as well. Go like this. Oh my goodness, I can't do it. Why can't I do it? There we go. All right, let me check the comments real quick. Do you think learning geometry nodes give me an edge in learning Houdini's steep learning curve? Possibly, yes, because it's like all procedural knowledge, right? So probably. I just clicked a few photos. It is 5:15 a.m. and if you want to design some environment, maybe. You clicked a few photos? What do you mean? I'm assuming you meant like you clicked a thumbnail and then you arrived here, possibly. After this, yes, we can try to do an environment. So we have points on the faces, and I want to do points to volume. I'm gonna try this. I haven't done this before, but I kind of want to try it. You can increase the density, and then I believe from there you can do volume to mesh. Yeah, let's try that. There it is. All right, so here's the cool part, and this is the part where I'm hoping this works. I don't know that it will, but I actually want to delete this geometry, but I only want to delete like a specific part of it. So I'm going to delete a position. Now, in this case, I want to delete the position that is, well, separated. So I want to separate XYZ. I want to separate the XYZ, and I just want to compare here. I want to compare the X to wherever I want to. So I can do this. So now what I can do is it less than a certain amount? And if it is, you get rid of it, just like that. So now what we can do is we can build something around our sphere that kind of like covers the sphere, if you will. So let's take a look here at some of the options. Threshold, awesome. Density, we want it to be very dense. And then I also kind of want the radius to be less because I want it to be like on the surface, if that makes sense. Density high, threshold low. All right, this is where things are going to get cool. Okay, so now we have this thing, right? We have this thing that we can kind of grow over the surface. Everybody see how we have this, right? Now, there's a lot I think that we can do here. The voxel amount is basically like how detailed is this like thing that we're building, right? The radius, I think, is the radius of the actual points themselves, and then we turn them back into a volume. Now, there's a couple of things to like consider here. One, we're going to have some weird issues with like just deleting things, like kind of missing that face. But we can kind of grow something like around this, right? Hello, Kenny. Good to see you again. Okay, it's a hostile building after rain with grass and 5. Okay. Oh, you're asking me to build that specific thing, is what you're saying? Well, I promise we'll try to build some sort of environment after this. All right, so I've deleted the geometry. Now I want to smooth it. Smooth geometry. And there it is. Looks a lot better. So now what we have, right, is we have this, right? Kind of have this thing that can kind of grow over our object, which is pretty cool. Now it makes you wonder, will this work with any object? Let's try it. Let's tab into edit mode. Let's delete our cube and let's add in our monkey. Let's scale our monkey up to give this thing kind of a chance. And let's do, let me try lower, slightly larger radius. I want it to be quite detailed. So I'm actually going to raise this up. And I'm just going to call this covered because it'll make sense to me later. So yeah, this does work with any mesh. Wow. And then you just kind of, you can form it around the mesh. That is pretty cool. Radius is like, I guess, how close it is to the mesh. And then the more we iterate on the smoothness, the more we can smooth out the result. It's pretty cool, but I think this is how people are doing like chocolate covered effects where they have something like that's like covered in another object. Just see. Yeah, that's definitely how they're doing that. Oh, that's so cool. I dig it. I think that's awesome. Oh, and then duh, we increase the density here. There we go. See, now this looks really good. Oh, wow. See, like, I can imagine there's a lot you can, yeah, there's a lot you can do with this. And I do wonder if I go in here and I do a noise texture, I'm just curious what would happen. Yeah, no, okay. Factor now? All right, didn't think so. Because we really only want to compare this, but I'm curious if you drove. I don't know if this would work, but I kind of want to try it. Yeah, okay, I didn't think it would work. That's fine. Oh, that's so cool. I guess you could do volume to mesh and have, I mean, I'm thinking like, okay, this line, like, can we make this even more interesting? Now, this is without any smoothing, just so you guys know. So this is like this weird, like, organic growth thing. And if you really wanted to, you could probably animate the voxel amount and make this thing look like it's like really like growing on top of this, right? Lower radius, right? And it really depends on like, it really just depends on what you're looking to do. I want mine to be nice and smooth, almost like it's being shrink wrapped to the object itself. But this looks pretty cool. Can you shrink wrap it to be really on the mesh? Yes, actually you can. Let me just start a new project so I can show you how that works. I'm going to add the monkey. I'm going to show you guys how this works. So right now, if we set this up, we just have the monkey. But I actually want to reroute this. And what I want to show you is we're going to take the same geometry, but we're going to take the convex hull of it. Convex hull. And we're going to rejoin it back together. Because I want to show you what this does. So convex hull, so this is kind of like shrink wrapping. Basically what convex hull does is it kind of just, it kind of like is a shrink wrap, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it other than that. It takes like almost like the average of the object. Like if you were to cover it, what would that look like? But what's really cool about like this like shrink wrap effect, in fact, I could make this a whole add-on, which is crazy, is we could do more with it. Like right now you can see the monkeys inside of there, but if I want to like subdivide this mesh again, I can do that, and then what I can do is I can smooth this, smooth geometry. I can smooth the geometry out even more. See if this will work. Yeah, you can smooth it more, but you got to be kind of careful because you almost want to scale elements before you do that. Almost, you got to be kind of careful because this could actually mess it up. So let me do this. Let me do subdivision surface first and see if that helps. Does help a little bit. Do an edge crease here. Slight edge crease, and then I'm tempted to say you could do smooth geometry after that. Get some weird like results with it. I have one more idea on how we could improve this though, because really at the end of the day, you want it to be good, right? You want it to be something that you can actually sell to somebody. I do want to transform the geometry, and I want the scale to be a value of maybe like 1.02, like slightly bigger than the actual object. And if we go to our side view, you can kind of see that that's the case. And then it's just a matter of, okay, how many subdivisions do you want? And then can you shade that smooth? But that is more or less like how you might go about shrink wrapping it, but it's not necessarily going to be like perfect, right? It's not going to be perfect, but smoothing geometry should work and help us a little bit. Okay, that's a little bit better, but again, you can kind of see like right in here, like we get some weird like pinching, so just be careful. Yeah, you're going to get some weird results. And I guess you could compensate for that with like a slightly larger scale. I would just be careful. I wouldn't rely on this for shrink wrapping, but that's like kind of how I would approach it. Make a kimono style avatar for VR chat. What? The Baron of Blender. Oh, wow. Thank you. Will it work with shape keys? Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. Probably. I would assume it probably would. Sorry, I deleted the file. All right, there was a couple of oh, someone asked for, excuse me, an environment. Honestly, for environment, I would just grab a bunch of free assets online and kit bash them. That's me personally, but the Prince of Primitives, bruh. Thank you. So like I love this website. I go here all the time. So like if you really want to make like an environment, like I would just go here and just I would grab some textures and I would grab some models and things like that. God, there's so many good ones. Like there's some terrain textures on here. There's some rocks that you can throw in here. And like this is how you can quickly create like very realistic things if you have something that is like, for example, if I type in rock. Yeah, so like you could easily create a really, really quick environment with like some of these assets. Just to give you like a rough idea of like how that might work. I can download a couple and show you. Yeah, like this is a cliff. Yeah, you could probably take like a coastal cliff, a couple. In fact, I might even take a couple of these. Like I might go here real quick and just like download like a 2K version of the FBX, just like a quick FBX download on this bad boy right here, and then we'll get a couple more cliffs and some rocks. So you'll see it's a pretty big file, so just keep that in mind if that's something that you're going to do, right? The last one. The Vicar of Vectors. Oh my gosh, bro. Thank you. Thank you, bro. There you go. There it is. Coastal Cliff is, so like, I'll just show you real quick. If we're in Blender, well, let me unzip that file. If you go to your files right here and you go to extract all, and you can come in here once it's extracted. Did it not just extract that, bro? What? Did I not just say extract all? Yeah, okay. Oh, it's just like not showing up. That's weird. All right, let's see if it shows up in here. File, import, where is it? FBX. We'll go to downloads. And then it should be here. Oh, there it is. Okay, all right, cool. So I imported it. Here it is right here. Now there's a bunch of them, so just like keep that in mind. I think they give you, I don't know how many they give you. Let's see if they're actually showing up. Let's go ahead and get some environmental in here. I think they are showing up because I can kind of see that there's something there. Just throw this on here. Yep, there they are. So now you have like these like pretty realistic, I don't know why they gave me so many in one, or if they're different levels of detail, but you can kind of see it's not very detailed, but you can download like the extremely detailed ones. But like imagine having like a couple of these, right? And then you start to like build your environment based on like what you have here. This is just like how I would go about it. You don't have to do it this way, right? But you can kind of see like from an angle, oh wait, that looks pretty good, especially from like a distance. Like if you're looking at it from a distance here and you have this way in the background, you know, you can kind of mess around with this. You can duplicate it if you want to, maybe do something ridiculous like that. But like from a distance, if you do it correctly, you might be able to get away with some things, like especially if you're like just kit bashing really quickly. Obviously this looks horrible, it's too stretched, but you get the idea. Or you take some of the smaller rocks and you instance them. Like here, I'll show you something like really easy we can do. We're not going to save that one because now I have a better idea to show you. If I type in rock here, okay, and I find just one or two, maybe three, here we go, rock moss set. This is perfect. This is exactly what I want. I'm going to download the FBX, and then I'm going to show you how we can like turn anything into like rocks, basically. All right. Can you use height maps and geometry nodes to generate real-life accurate terrain? Oh, good idea. Let's try it. Let me write that down. That's a great one. Height maps for real terrain in geometry nodes. Geometry nodes. My question, if you can get a point cloud in Nuke with an EXR using depth, normal position, can you get something similar in geometry nodes? Yes, probably. Probably, yeah. CG Cookie, I am curious, for someone as good with you with Blender, what is the most complicated part of the character? Ooh, that's tough. So I don't normally do characters, but I would probably have to say yes, probably the more intricate parts, if I had to guess. I really don't do characters a lot, so I can't speak to that as much. I'm sorry. But yeah, I would have to guess. That would be a question for, I think Wayne is our character guy. Yeah, I think he's our character guy. All right, check it out, guys. You ready? I'm going to import all these rocks here. As FBX, we'll go to our downloads, boom, and boom. There we go. All right, so here's the cool part about these, right? They're already textured. Now I want to show you like how would we potentially make something that like has a bunch of these. I'm going to put these in a collection so I can show you how this works. M is our shortcut, new collection, rocks, whatever, and we can hide these. I'm going to save this and I'm going to call this made of rocks. There we go. Geometry nodes. I'll add a monkey. Okay, there's our monkey. New, we'll just do a new setup, and then I'll do mesh to volume, and then I'll do a density pretty high, and then I'll do volume to points. Oh no, I'm sorry, distribute points and volume. Sorry, I forgot. Distribute points in volume. There we go. We'll do random. That's fine. Density, we'll keep it pretty high. And then we're going to instance all of those rocks onto those points. So I'm just going to drag this collection in here. I'm going to drag this in here. I'm going to do relative, but I'm going to actually scale these down a bunch. Just do a value of like, I don't know, 0.1 for now, just to see where they sit. That's better. And then I want to do pick instance. Oh, sorry. This is supposed to be separate children and reset them. That's fine. That should be good. Okay, I think they're all random rocks now. Okay, perfect. It is. Okay, and then for the size, we'll do like 0.05 maybe, something like that. And then what I'll do is we're going to do some randomness here. We're going to do rotate instances, and we're going to do scale instances, like that. All right, and then we're just going to kind of basically make this thing hopefully look like it's like made of rocks, if you will. We'll do a random value for our rotation. That's fine. And we'll do a random value for our scale. But I'll do like a random value of maybe like 1. All right, and then I'll save this real quick, raise the density a little bit. Also raise the density here. And there we go. So now you can see, and this is where it gets crazy, right? Because now we have a lot of high density material, or there's a lot going on with this. Now you can see that we have our monkey and he's made of rocks. So now it's like, okay, is this thing going to crash in rendered mode? It doesn't look like it yet. I also think I'm using Eevee right now. Am I using Eevee? Yeah, I think I am. So there's a lot going on here, right? There's a lot of rocks, and I think Blender is about to crash on me, so we'll see what happens. No, I don't even use CPU. Oh my god, my poor CPU is probably like, oh my gosh, bro, no. Okay, we're going to go ahead and slap an environment texture on this bad boy. I'll do this one because this one's like kind of an outdoorsy texture. So now you kind of look to the front here, and it's like, whoa, this is pretty cool. Like you have this like Suzanne that's made of like rocks, right? So it's kind of like a cool thing you can do if you want like a really quick, like pretty decently cool render. And what's cool is like it's using the random rocks, which is pretty fun. Can you align the rotation of the rocks to the normals of the mesh? Yes, you can if you're distributing the points on the faces. So I'll show you how you would do that. So I'll go to geometry nodes again, and I'm just going to go ahead and cancel this right here to show you what I mean. I'm going to distribute points on faces. Same concept, right? Boom. Okay. However, need to adjust our density. And then if we want them to face the correct way, even though now they're randomly rotated, you would take the normal and do align rotation to vector. You would plug that into the vector here, and you would go like this. And believe it or not, well, the only way to tell is if you do this. They're actually aligned to the they are actually aligned to the topology. And the way to prove this to you is if we got rid of this as an instance and did a cube instead. And where is it? Why is this not working? Oh, pick instance. Okay, so if we do a cube instead, we can do this. Just so you can see that I'm proving to you that this is actually for real. Yeah, now you can kind of tell. So all of these cubes are aligned to the normal. Whereas if we uncheck this, they just get aligned like that, right? So that's how you align things to the normal. So if we get rid of this and bring this back, pick instance, and plug this back in here, then we're good to go. And now we have our really awesome Suzanne. And I want to upgrade that density there. And now look, we have Suzanne made of rocks. How cool is that? And yes, there is a way to make them not collide. I just don't remember exactly how. All right, next one. We had a question about, can you make, let's see, can you take a height map and turn it into basically like a terrain? Yes, you can. Let me just type in terrain height map. So what I would do if I was doing this, well, first of all, I need to find a height map. This one looks pretty good, I feel like. All right, let's just take this one because it's 400 by 400, so it's perfectly square, which I like for our example. So I took a height map from the internet. All right, we're going to go to geometry nodes, click on a new setup. Watch how quick. You guys are going to be like surprised at how quick this is, right? Take a grid. A grid, again, is just a plane with a certain amount of subdivisions. Right now, it doesn't really have many. In fact, it only has, well, 3, I guess, technically. We're going to use an integer to drive our vertices, so we can like basically subdivide this as many times as we want. And then what we'll do is we will simply set the position, and we're going to be using the height, which is our combine x, y, z, specifically the z. So right now, if I plug this in, nothing happens. You can see that if I adjust this, right, something kind of is happening there, but really only changing like where this thing is. Now the real magic happens when we add our image texture. Okay, and then what I can do is I can open up the image texture that we just downloaded, which is right here. I'm going to plug the UV map into our vector for the image so that it inherits the same size. And now we have a height map. Now you're probably wondering, okay, it's like kind of working. Well, first of all, we're going to scale it down a little bit. So I'm going to scale it down just a little bit here. And I'm also going to increase the amount of resolution here. Now you can start to see, oh, wait a second. This kind of looks like something, right? Well, that's because it's basically inheriting the height information of the height map. So what we have here is now basically a detailed version of whatever we just downloaded, right? And you can invert it, you can do whatever. But let's test it on another one. So this is basically how it works, right? With you're just using an image and you're basically displacing the image, right? But what if maybe we can find one that's a little bit more detailed, but that's basically how it works, which is awesome. Now there is a way to inherit the image's size too. So if we can't find like a good size image or like dimensions that don't work. This one's pretty good. That's pretty darn high quality. Wow, look at this one. Should we try this one? This one's crazy looking. That might even be too intense. I don't know if this one's going to work. I'm kind of wondering what this one's going to look like. All right, so it's a little intense. Let's dumb it down. So it actually did work. It's a little too intense, and I think it's Blender's having trouble with actually like inheriting the quality of like the height map. That one's pretty insane. Let's try a different one. Let's try this one here. This one looks like it might have a better gradient to it. So I think this one's going to work better. And then I'll answer your next question. I see there's another question on there. Yeah, this one's much better. So now we have something that looks like this, right? And this is pretty cool because you can take this and just convert this into a mesh. And I can make this a super, super high density mesh if I want to. And don't forget, we have smooth geometry. So if it's not smooth enough, you just smooth it out with a few iterations and then you shade smooth. Boom. And just like that, we have a nice height map of our whatever. Try the Ireland map. Which one was the Ireland one? Oh, this one? Is this Ireland? I don't think I saw... Did I see Ireland on there? Ireland? Oh, like, try this actual image, you're saying? Let's see. There's quite a few of them. Oh, and it also works with images that have color, too. Like, it should still work with those. I haven't tried it, but we can try it. This is a huge image. This is a huge image. Let's try it out. And then I promise I'll answer that question. Just want to make sure I get to all these. Yeah, there you go. There it is. So obviously we're going to have to like reduce the size of it. But for the most part, it does like kind of work. Like it tries to work. Can I use raycast with position and depth to create points in space based on the image alone? Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can literally convert this whole thing into points if you wanted to. If someone is best at modeling, I'm a newbie at the rest, animation, lighting, etc. Do you have a recommendation to learn all of the pipeline or go all in on modeling? I would say, and I know I probably say this a lot when we're on our live streams, but I truly wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it. If you genuinely are looking to learn more, I would highly suggest our core fundamentals of Blender, which is something that I've personally worked on. So I'm just going to go ahead and upload that link for you guys. If you're looking to learn more about modeling, I'm actually not the person to teach you, to be honest. I'm definitely a novice at best. I'm okay, like I'm not horrible, but I probably know enough to like at least get by with some client projects. But the link I just sent you, our course is actually on sale right now. And tomorrow there's a huge site-wide sale on SuperHive too, which is awesome. Let me slap this other image back there because I really liked looking at that image. Where was it? Is it this one? I think it was this one. Yeah, this one just looks great. And I think I'll smooth it a little bit less. Yeah, wow, look at that. Look at that. It just looks so cool. And like there's so much you could do with this. My question vaporized because it's beyond these easy goon requests. What question was it? Request. Oh, skin modifier, B-mesh within geometry nodes and possessing a derived mesh that is not collapsed but paintable? What? Can you explain? If you explain your idea a little bit further, I will try it. I promise. I wasn't trying to ignore your question. I'm just trying to make sure that I get to all the other ones as well. But, okay, so, all right, we got past that. We got past that. I'll try the one you were just saying. There was a couple other ones people were asking about. Let's see. Oh, also, this works with logos, too. So if you go to your download, or well, if you go to any downloads and you slap a logo on this, it should still work. Yeah, so like, and this is really cool because you can make, like if I reverse the scale here, how cool is that? Look, now I can take a logo and I can make a 3D mesh from the logo. How sick. I love this stuff. I think it's so cool. Okay, don't worry, beyond your pay grade. Beyond my pay grade. Bone circuit. Well, if you don't want me to try it, I don't have to try it. I just don't think I quite understood what exactly you were saying in your request. Otherwise, I would probably give it my best attempt. So, all right, let's go through and see if there's any other requests. People were asking about point clouds. Drive mesh. The skin, how long did it take you to learn Blender? And do you get paid for some projects? And how do you find advantages? Ooh, that's a good question. That is a great question, and I also want to make sure I go back to, there was another one on there that I thought I missed. I guess I didn't miss it. Yeah, maybe I did. Maybe I did miss it. Darn it, I did miss it, or I lost it. Okay, so how did I learn Blender? YouTube and CG Cookie as well. I took a lot of courses on there, and then how I got paid for some projects is I would post things on Instagram. I'll show you guys some of my projects. I would post stuff on Instagram, and I would literally just, people would reach out to me and say that they wanted something done. That's actually how I got clients. So I almost got clients by not trying to get clients, if that kind of makes sense. Like, I just posted stuff that I thought was cool, and then people reached out to me. Let me find one that's okay, actually, this is an example. So this is actually a really old project. I don't even know if it's going to be still rendered. Yeah, this is a really old project. We're not sponsored by Pokemon in any way or affiliated, but I'll just go into material preview so you can see this. So basically, this was the project. This is, someone reached out to me about some sort of card animation. I forget what. This was a really simple project. It was just some simple keyframing and like things like that. But I remember this was one of the things that got me a client. That was one of the things. Let me see if I can find another one. Another thing that has gotten me a client in the past. I mean, so many physics related. A lot of physics related things. Oh, this one got me a client. This was fun. I'm missing the textures from the lemons, but these were lemons. Let me see if I can just play it back. Yeah, this was a fun one. These were lemons, and I did some rigid body physics, so that was pretty fun. How do I find advantages? Do you mean like how do I find like opportunities to get client projects? I honestly don't necessarily always seek them out. I kind of just make cool stuff. Honest to God, I really do. And I got lucky because the certain people reached out to me. Another thing I do is I sell things online. I sell things on Gumroad and Superhive, and that's how I make a lot of my money as well. So if I'm in between client projects and I don't have a lot going on, usually I'm just making more products to sell, and those do pretty well, and I make some decent money with those. But nothing, I'm not making millions of dollars here, but it's enough to like support myself, which is nice. Like it's like side money. It's passive income. It's not my full-time job, but it's a lot of fun. All right, let's go to my downloads. There's a few. Can you do nano effects? Yeah. So yeah, I definitely can. What is a nano effect though? Can you explain that to me, and I could try to replicate it in Blender? Let me see if I can find another one. Yeah, a lot of the times. Oh, so like this is the blueprint shader. I've made a lot of money off this. I've definitely made thousands of dollars off of this. So if you're like a product person and you like making products and you can make something cool that people can use, like, and then sell it, of course, and market it properly, then boom, that's a way to make money. So in my opinion, if you can create really nice tools for people, they'll probably buy them, right? All right, so we had chain whip and then nano effects. I just got to know what type of like nano effects you wanted. You said nano effects, right? Let me see if I can find this. Is this the type of nano effects that you were looking for? Nano. Let me see something. I don't really know what nano. I don't know why I wrote that from the last live stream. Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I hope that answered the question. I tried to answer the question the best that I could. A chain whip. I'm gonna have to look that up off screen. Ooh, that's kind of scary looking. Oof. Razor chain whip. Why would you want to own this? I mean, it's a crazy look. I'm assuming this is like some sort of weapon or something. Wow, that is pretty darn intense. Maybe we'll come back to the whip thing. All right, nanoparticles like Tony Stark. Is there a specific scene? Nanotech. I'm assuming it's like an effect. Which particle fluids are the most complicated? Fire, water, gas, or clouds, etc. Fire's up there because of like the shaders you have to do to make the fire look half decent, and smoke simulations can be pretty tricky. They're all tricky in their own way. I would say fire and smoke are probably the most tricky. Liquid's pretty easy to get the hang of. Particles are easy. Oh, you know what? I feel like I have to look up a video of this. Hold on. I don't want to get like copyright. Oh. I just have to get a video or an image of what the particle effect looks like, and then we can try to make it. I promise we will definitely attempt this. I just have to get like a good... Oh, here we go. Is this it? Oh. Oh, whoa. That's so cool. Wow. Okay, so it's kind of like this liquid forming. That's pretty cool. Okay, I kind of see the vibe. All right, this is cool. All right, so man, I'm just like my mind is racing with like how we can accomplish this. This is a good shot of it. Okay, this is a good shot of it. Nano shield. Okay, I have some ideas. I have some ideas about how we can do this. And you know what's funny? We already have the Iron Man helmet, so let's just snag that real quick. And let's just delete everything and grab this real quick. Bring it here. It's already pretty high density. Yeah, no, that effect is great. Tony Stark presses the arc reactor, gets the suit on him. Nanotech. I think I got it. I think we are golden with this. All right, let's try it. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking, right? Here's what I'm thinking. Well, let me shade this auto smooth. Make a geometry node setup. No, there we go. All right, so I'm thinking in order to make this happen, we have to create layers outside of this, kind of like what we did before, and then like reveal each layer. Does that kind of make sense? So, and I think in order to do this, I might start with just like a simple proximity object, like a sphere maybe, and the sphere will decide like where it starts and stops. I'll show you like some interesting things that we can do with this, but I think the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to distribute, or actually I'm going to do mesh to volume first, and then I'm going to rejoin it with itself because I want to see if we can get this to kind of go outside of the mesh itself. And if we create something really cool here, then that's awesome, isn't it? Let's see what we can do here. I kind of want to see, okay, I can kind of see it right now. You can kind of see the volumes a little bit like, there it is. I want the density to be super high, and I want this to be outside of the Iron Man mask. Perfect. So now we kind of have like that layer, if you will, right? And then what we can do is I think we can go back to a mesh. So we can do volume to mesh. Oops. Volume to mesh. Freaking son of a gun, bro. All right, there it is. So now we have this like layer outside of it, right? And now I know you're probably thinking, that doesn't look anything like the Iron Man effect. Well, we're not even close to being there yet, guys. But we're going to get there because we are going to figure this thing out. Yeah, basically. We can also... Oh, you meant something different? You meant something different? I'm sorry. Oh, we can do that too. We can do that too. But let's try this first and see what we can get. All right? I do want to see something though. Can we increase the voxel? Yes, we can. And then from here, we could probably merge by distance just a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit better. Now we have like this mesh outside of the mesh. And just to make sure that we do, yep, you can kind of see the outline. Perfect. Okay. And now this is the fun part because this is where we get to like reveal everything else. So I'm going to show you the delete effect that we did earlier. I'm simply going to take the position I'm going to separate its XYZ components, and I'm going to delete anything that is like, we'll just do X. We'll do a greater than a certain amount on the X-axis. So this is basically going to, what this is going to do is this going to delete anything that's greater than a certain thing. So look, now we have this layer, right? And let me just maybe reduce this just a little bit so you can see it. There we go. So now what we have is we have the ability to, now, I don't know how well you guys can see this. We have, I'll have to make materials out of this. Hold on. We do a quick material swap here. We're going to do, one side will be blue, or sorry, red for the Iron Man helmet, and then the other side will be, we'll just make it like silver, metallic with a low roughness. Okay, and then we'll just go ahead to material preview. We'll set the material to the metallic. So now what we have is we have like this side of the like mask, if you will, and we can decide like where it starts and stops and like how it builds. Now, obviously, like merge by distance is one thing, but what I think I might do from here is I might subdivide the mesh, and then I might like smooth it out, like smooth it over a little bit. Hold on. Separate some of this stuff. Yeah, I think I might do a smooth geometry here. There we go. That's a little bit better. Notice how it's like much smoother too. And then I believe we can adjust the voxel amount. We can adjust the interior bandwidth, which doesn't really matter for me at this moment. Threshold, it's fine. Adaptivity, no, we don't need that. There we go. Okay, so we'll come back to the like density of it. But notice how now we have this thing, right? We've subdivided it. We've then smoothed it over as well. Just a little bit, right? Subdivide it a little bit less. And then we're also going to shade it smooth as well. And now we have the ability to basically say, okay, anything from a certain point, I would like to delete it. So we kind of have this like this type of effect. But what if we could drive the selection with our proximity of this object? Well, I think that we can do that. We're just going to drag our sphere in here, take our relative position of our sphere. We're going to drive it with a proximity value. So we're basically going to say, okay, where is the sphere? And then like what happens to it after this, right? And then I think we can take that distance and we can basically say, I would like you to delete anything like before a certain distance. So let me just think about this for a second. Because this time we're really actually more like doing this, right? See if this works. And we're doing a map range. I don't know if this will work or not, but we're going to try it out. Yep, it's kind of working. There it is, there. This will be a tricky one because we're going to have to test like the position of this, but let me just see something. We might be able to just drive just the position. Or is valid. Let me try. No, okay, it doesn't want to do it for us. All right, we'll just take the location and we'll do separate XYZ. We'll take the X, drive it into the selection. Let me just see if this works. You know what's funny? It is actually working, but it's not working the way that we would want it to, because what we really need is we need this. We need to have, I believe, 0. Let me see if that works. Ooh, doesn't want to work the way I thought it was going to work. Probably because we're not doing proximity. Oof. Let me see something. Proximity. And then we'll take the position of that proximity. There we go. Okay, there we go, there we go. Okay, we just got to do the opposite of that. We want less than. Okay, so now what we have, and you can see it's kind of working. We're taking the geometry. It's not perfect, right? It's not perfect, but you can see how it's like deleting based on where this is. Do I need Y? I feel like I need Y. Yeah, let's try that. Oh, there it is. So you can kind of get the idea. We can kind of make this thing form over time based on where that sphere is. I hope that kind of makes sense. That's like the general starting point for how I would go about an effect like that. Search for, okay, Thor hit me. Okay, Thor hit me, and it's Iron Man that uses Thor's lightning as a weapon. Oh, do I do Pinterest links? No, not really. Yeah, you can kind of make it radial. You'd have to use map range for that. Yeah, so like that's the other thing. You can do that as well with the there's so many things. Like you could instance particles on that surface and then combine them together with merge by distance and then smooth them with smooth geometry. Like there's a lot of like methods that you could use for this. But someone said they actually wanted an object being formed out of hundreds of small cube particles. That's also kind of possible as well. I'll just make a new setup real quick. I'll paste Iron Man in here one more time. Go to geometry nodes. So like we have the Iron Man helmet. Again, we're not sponsored by Iron Man. We're not in affiliation with Iron Man. We're just using this for fun. If we wanted to make this into particles, we could. We just do mesh to points. And then we could basically take those points and we could like set their position to something crazy. For example, we could use a noise texture to offset the position of all of the points, just for an example, right? So now we can take all these points and we can be like, oh, we're almost forming back into Iron Man, right? But we don't necessarily want them to just kind of like go all over the place. So one thing that you could potentially do is oh my God, there's so many things you can do here. One thing you could do is just basically have them go back and forth based on a geometry proximity, kind of like what we did before. So you could use a sphere, kind of drop that sphere in here, and then like, show you here, basically take the geometry proximity, you take the distance, and you offset, you know, whatever you want by that. So now you have like, wait, set this to relative. You can go like this, and now notice how we can kind of like mess around with the actual face, right? So that's like one thing you can do to kind of have those particles moving around, but obviously there's not a crazy amount of control here without like the map range node. It's kind of fun to mess around with, but it's not exactly the effect that people are going for. So I'm gonna delete those. What a lot of people are thinking is like, how do I like make these disperse and make them smaller and then disintegrate, right? So what I'll do is, again, I'm gonna add a cube, and this time this is gonna be our new proximity object. I'm actually going to I'm going to instance something onto those points. I'm going to instance, well, small cubes, because that's what someone requested. For the value, for the scale, I'll just make it really, really small. Yep, just like that. So now we have all these small cubes, right? Now, if you wanted them to face the surface, you can. We can do that distribute points on faces thing that we did before. But in this case, I want to take our instances and I would like to scale them. So I'm going to scale my instances, but I'm going to scale them based on the proximity of my cube. Proximity, there we go. Distance will go right into the scale. Now check it out. When I move this, notice how the scale goes all over the place. Can you guys see this? I don't know, it's kind of hard to see, but believe it or not, these are being affected by the scale. And then what you do here is there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can do a color ramp. I think that's the easiest because it's the easiest to like understand like where it starts and stops, right? And then if you really want to get crazy about it, you scale this up, right? And then you reverse the color ramp like that. And then as you move this in, notice how we get some like disappearing action. Does everybody see that? So now you have this thing like fading in and out. So really what I would do is I would do this. I would animate this. I would press I on our cube. I would go over to frame 36 or whatever, and then I would press I. And then I would just hide the cube, make the end frame 36, and play back my animation, right? So now I have this really interesting effect where like my helmet is kind of like fading away in a strange way, but nonetheless it is fading away. And if you really want to like get calculated with it, you can try different things. Like you can plug in the distance. Again, you're getting kind of like this is actually kind of an interesting effect. It's not the effect that we want, but it gives you an idea of like something that you can do with the helmet, right? And then maybe you want to combine the helmet with that. You can just rejoin it back together. I'll just do this to keep it simple. And then, of course, we want to actually probably want to set the position of the cube, make it slightly higher than it should be. Why is it being weird? Hold on, hold on. You know what? I'm just going to do this. I'm going to transform the geometry of the original mesh. How about that? And I'm just going to make it 0.99 or maybe 0.9. You know what? I'll make it 0.95. How about that? And now look what we have. How cool is that? I mean, this doesn't have to be, like, you can kind of get some ideas from this. This is just, like, something fun. But, like, I accidentally created this, which is pretty cool. So, like, imagine when you're being a little bit more intentional about it and you take hours and hours to get your effect correct. But this is kind of like a cool concept, too. Make a laser beam effect from eyes. Oh, wow. Yeah, I know. It's pretty cool, right? All right, let's go ahead and take some more suggestions here. Go. Let's go ahead and get rid of the nano effects. I think that was a pretty cool one. I think, what was the other one someone said? Laser beam effect? From eyes? That's crazy. I don't know. I guess we could. Can you make it go radial from front to back? Yes, kind of. Pictures links. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and not save this because I don't need to. And let's see what's next. Let me take a look. Let's see, modeling. I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave these up on the screen. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. I'm going to do a poll, and I want you guys to decide what you think. We're going to start a quick poll. Choose, and then we're going to do model something. We're going to do more geometry nodes. Or we'll do shader nodes. Or we'll do surprise me. Those are our options. Please go ahead and answer the poll. I will be right back in about a minute. Alrighty. How we doing, guys? All right. Oh man, geometry nodes takes the cake. Wow. Okay. Okay. All right. We'll continue with geometry nodes. Oh Lord. Particle advection is crazy. I mean, people have done it. I can't do it. Right? Not yet. Not yet. I can't. No, particle advection. So that's something that involves a lot of like physics and calculations, things like that. I would say maybe we can't do that. Sorry. But it doesn't mean we can't do simulation zones. I'll teach about simulation zones real quick, and we'll kind of go from there. Well, I'll show you what I do know, and I'll show you some cool things, okay? All right, so, like, simulation zone, the way a simulation zone works is it basically takes an input of geometry and it outputs that, and it does something every second to an object. Easy example. Go ahead and input and output this. We'll just input and output the cube we already have. Set the position. Now, right now, if I press play, nothing happens. And that's because I'm not actually changing the position every second. But if I want to, I can change the position of our cube 0.05 every second, right? And now it's moving because every second it's saying, okay, now set the position again. Now set the position again. Now do it again and again and again. And it kind of like adds to itself, if that makes sense. Now, the cool part, though, is that that's basically just like adding the cube over and over again, but it's replacing itself. But if we want to rejoin it with itself every single time, I believe, if I remember correctly, we can do this. Now, although you might not be able to tell, it's actually duplicating the cube each time that it does this. Now, if we want to get even crazier, we can also do this. We can say scale, I don't know, elements maybe, and we can do 0.98 or whatever we want. And now look, now we have something that's actually really cool. We have something that looks like that because it's taking a cube, it's scaling it. Just do this. There we go. So, like, again, same concept. It's doing something over and over again, right? And there's a lot of cool things you can do with this because you can also have it rotate and then move again. You know, you can have it like move, scale it, and then rotate it. So, like, for example, let's just say that we wanted this thing to go like this, and we wanted it to move that way, like up that way. We could kind of do that because once we scale it, we simply set its position more on the Y. I don't know, this much. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, we would have to, okay, so that's a diagonal, but you get the idea. Let me try, you know what? Let's try something less, like 0.01. Kind of working. We can also transform the geometry, and we can rotate it on the Z just a little bit each time. Ha! So what's cool about this one, let me just do this. Let me increase the speed at which it's going. Now look, we have a spiral. Ha! How cool is that? Like, again, this just gives you an idea of like what's happening in the simulation zone. But what's cool about this is like there's a lot we can do with this. So, for example, maybe we would like to make like a particle emitter. Well, like, let me show you how we would do that. Delete everything here. What we can do is I can go all the way back. Now, instead of using my cube, I'll just use a flat plane, so I'll just use a grid. Okay, plug it in. Now, if I press play, nothing happens, which is expected because we haven't done anything inside of our simulation zone. But if we want to, we can do our set position, and we can actually flip this plane up, and we can emit points from it. So I'll transform the geometry, and I will simply do like just a little 90-degree angle here, guy. There we go. We'll do 90 degrees. Actually, do it like this. So we have a 90-degree angle, right? Now, if I set the position 0.5, it'll move every time, like basically 0.5 every single frame, like that, right? Now, what's kind of funny is you actually don't need a simulation zone to do this. I can show you guys how to do that, but this is one way to do it because you can use the frame or scene time to easily create more things. But let's do a mesh to points. And then for like this one, for example, you can actually reduce this even more. In fact, you can, if you really want this to be like just 1 point, you could theoretically do 0.1, 0.1, right? And then just to show you what this would look like, you could merge by distance right here. And you just merge until you get 1 point. Now you have your 1 point, you press play, and there it is. There's your point, just going across. And yes, I know, there's other ways to do this. So you have your set position. Let's rejoin everything back together. So we're going to join our original geometry with our newly set position, which will give us a particle emitter. So now look what we have. We have a particle emitter. How cool is that? Pretty nice, right? And this is the magic of like quote unquote, geometry nodes and being able to do this, right? Now the cool part is now we can actually change like where this thing is going to go. So let's see. So I'm going to go back. I actually want to have this be a little bit bigger, and I want a few more points to work with here. Maybe 10 by 10, just for example, and we'll do 1 by 1. Now we have this. We have all of our points going across. But what if we wanted to change where they ended up? And this is where things get really interesting. So ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because you're in for quite the ride because you asked for it and here we are, set position. Now we're going to get it. Things are going to get really interesting. We're going to add a sphere. We are going to get out of this. We're going to take our sphere and put it right here. And I basically want to take my sphere into here and use our relative proximity like this. And I want our distance to change the offset of our of these pieces. So here's the cool part. For right now, I'm just using the distance. But what we can do is we can actually do this. We can do a map range right here. Go all the way back. And I'm going to do like something small like 0.2, maybe 0.2. Yep, it's already working. I can already tell that it's working. Now there's a lot you can do here. You see here. It's actually not working the way I had expected. Let me try position instead. It doesn't seem to want to do it. Hold on. Go back. It's funny because it is kind of working, but not in the same way that I had wanted it to. And how did I get this to work last time? I was able to make this work, which is really annoying because we can set the position right here. Should be fine. Let me try this. We'll try this. Let's see if this works. And it does not. And we try again. All right, I had this working before. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. What was going to happen, which has happened before because I actually had a proc like this, I just forget how to do it, is the points go around our object, which is possible. I just forget exactly how I did it. Can you make it follow? Can you make it follow a curve? The points? Yes. But not in the way that you might think. Like, if I was to make something follow a curve, I would just have, like, a follow path type of thing set up. Here's what I'm going to do, actually, because I just want to show you guys something. I'm not going to save this. I'm going to show you a different setup, because I want to show you how this works. If I wanted to scale this, this is our cube. I can actually use our scene time, and I can scale it every frame. So I can plug the scale in here, and when I press play, do some math. I'm going to dumb this down with a math node. I'm going to multiply it by a very small number. So when I press play, this cube is going to grow in size over time with our frame. Now, we don't need a simulation zone for this. But anyway, let me go back to his question. So he wants to see how can we follow a curve, right? So I'm just going to do curve, I don't know, curve line, for example. And you want something to follow a curve. Honestly, all I would do is you have your curve right here. I would literally just have something on that curve translating through the curve itself, if that makes sense, like in geometry nodes. Are you trying to do something that physically follows a curve like physics-wise? Because I can show you how to do that. Or are you trying to do like you have points on the curve and you want those points to like move across the curve? Because there's, obviously we might have a different vision for what exactly you're asking. Do this. We're going to instance real quick on this. Now, what's cool about this specific thing, this setup, is we can decide how many pieces we want on this curve, which is awesome. The only thing with like instancing is it can get a little bit funky. Like if I say translate instances, there we go. If I say translate instances and I move them, you can see that they move, but it's not quite in the way that you might imagine, right? If I take this curve line and I turn it into an arc, for example, right, there it is, and you translate these, notice how they only translate along that way. That is one thing that is really key here. That's obviously not going to work for what we're trying to do. But what is cool is we can actually trim the curve right here, and we can decide when it starts and stops. But here's the cool part. We don't need to have we don't need to have all of these instances. We can simply instance on just like the endpoint, for example, endpoint selection. Yeah. So we can instance on just the endpoints, for example, and now we can have this. Look, this thing now follows the curve. See that? Follows the curve all the way around. And if we only want the front or the start, then boom, right? And then if you really want to see the curve, you can do that too. So we could come in here and we could say, you know what? I want to be able to see the entire curve. I'll show you. There you go. Now you can see the curve, and just so you know, it can go all the way around, or it can go 180, whatever you guys want. But look, you can trim this, you can follow that curve like that. How cool is that? Not a lot of people know how to do that, so I'm showing you guys. All right, for example, you made the particle emitter earlier. Make the particles in geonodes follow a curve, and also to avoid particles nearby, kind of like physics-based. So for something like that, I would actually not use geometry nodes. I would just use traditional physics. Now, it is possible in geometry nodes, don't get me wrong. I'm just not quite as advanced with geometry nodes as I should be to be able to accomplish something like that. Sample curve. Oh, yeah, sample curve. Yeah, I don't think I've used that node. Let me see. Sample curve. Whoa, that's sick. Oh, so you just plug in the curve, and then what do? You just plug this into, like, Translate or something? Oh, no way, bro. Hold up. Get out of this. Let me try this. I didn't realize you could do that. It's like slightly off. Why is it slightly off? Oh, because I'm translating just the one instance, I think. But can we do this factor? It is working. How do you get it? That's so cool. I didn't realize you could do that. That is stinking awesome, bro. Does it have to be the normal? Is that what it has to be? It's almost like weird that it's not perfectly on there. Bro, that's sick. Does it work for all of them? Hold on. Oh, interesting. That's cool though. But why is it moving them all at once? Sketchy. That's weird. Actually, technically don't need to resample that. Maybe that's what was happening? Bro, what happened? Oh, let me get this. You know what? That might have been it. No, that wasn't it. That's weird. You use position into the position. That would probably make sense. Oh, position into set position. Let me guess, you have to realize the instances first, then divide the index by the number of points going into the factor. Oh, Lord, bro. This is too much math for this late, bro. Too much math. Too much math. This is cool, though. I didn't realize there was... I mean, I kind of should have thought, like, okay, you can sample a curve, or, like, I guess, take part of a curve and figure out where you are, I guess, factor-wise. Length is cool, too. I guess factor usually makes more sense because it's 0 to 1, yeah. That's so cool. Oh, there's so much you could do with that. So much you could do with that, bro. All right. On to our next subject, ladies and gentlemen. Is it time to try modeling? It's time to try modeling something. Oh, someone was asking, like, if you want... Okay, real quick, though. I'm sorry. Real quick. If you want something to follow a curve force field, that's basically what I would do. With geometry nodes, I don't know how you would do that. Why is this not... RY90. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's say we have a curve and we want it to like follow the curve, right? And this is the curve, scale it, whatever. And we have a particle emitter, right? We have our particle emitter, it's emitting particles, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we want these particles to follow the curve. Well, the very first thing I would do, go into my field weights and turn off gravity, right? And then I would click on this curve. I would add a force field type curve, strength, negative, like negative 20, all right? And then flow, I would keep the flow high, and that's really it. And then you can just adjust from there. So now you have your particles flowing on the curve. That's how I'll go about doing it. I would not use geometry nodes for that, just simply because I don't think it's worth it to understand yet until they have more implemented nodes. I know they have fluid solvers and things like that, but like I don't really get into that stuff as much, and I just don't understand it, so I'm not going to try to teach it to you. How to do destruction plus adding VFX plus lighting when destructed at the edge of those destructions with custom color values from a newbie at VFX. Chain whip This guy really wants the chain whip. Oh my gosh. All right, listen, if you really want the chain whip, do me a favor, give me the exact thing to search, and it has to be appropriate for the live stream, and then I'll do it. But yeah, that's how I would do force field and like a force field curve combined with particle physics. Model your cap. Oh, it's a good idea too. I'll add that. This guy really wants the chain whip, bro. Hold on. Alt, B right B. Alt, B right B. Wall break ability. Okay, so there's a few questions going on. Let me write this down. Destruction. Oh my god, how do you spell destruct? Destruction. There we go. VFX. Okay, I'll just put that. So what I will tell you is there are a lot of add-ons that you can use. I know people hate hearing that. But the first thing I think of when I think of like destruction is I think of well, I kind of think of geometry nodes a little bit, but I also think of like, you know, literally just taking an object, subdividing it a bunch of times, and then going to object, quick effects, cell fracture, clicking OK, letting that break up into a bunch of pieces, and then deleting this, and then taking all these pieces, individual origins, set origin to geometry, scaling them down a little bit, and now you have all these pieces, these fractured pieces, and then you could theoretically take this, give it a rigid body, type mesh, press A, object, rigid body, copy from active, and now you press play, and boom, they're destructed, right? They're, boom, right? You have this like nice like destructive thing, and that's pretty quick. Like that's a pretty quick way to do it, I would say. But like you're talking more about like a destructive environment that can be destroyed over time. That might be something a little bit more like detail oriented. This is more just like a quick like how do you explode a cube, for example. That's one thing. Wall break ability. You could also do like proximity based like erosion on a wall, for example. At GeoNodes, I could add the cell fracture effect to break things apart in GeoNodes. Is it possible? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't want to give you an answer on that only because I'm not 100% sure. But what's weird is like with geometry nodes, there is a way to like kind of break things up. Yeah, kind of. Like I'll show you what I mean. Like if I go to geometry nodes and I make a grid, for example, just make a really big grid with like a bunch. I'll just do 200, 200. Yeah, so right now I have a grid, right? And it's like really high density grid. I can like delete geometry at random, right? Check this out. I can do random. I'll just do Boolean. So it's going to like randomly delete like different pieces of the geometry. You can see like we can adjust this. But what's really cool is we can actually like triangulate this after. So you could do like merge by distance, for example. Let me see. Let me triangulate it first. There it is, triangulate. I was like, where the heck is the darn thing? Let me triangulate it actually before we delete geometry. There we go. So now we have something that looks like this. Okay, and we kind of have this like weird, like eroded, like fractured effect. But I think what you theoretically could do is you could drive this with like proximity to get like erosion on something. But what's cool about this again is you kind of have this interesting like effect, and you can adjust like the probability of something like getting deleted, right? Or I believe you can drive this with a noise texture into the probability. I think you can do that. Oh, you can. Look at that. You guys seeing this? So you can kind of see the noise texture from a distance. And then you can adjust the color ramp to, yeah, we can get a color ramp to adjust. Basically, this is like the contrast of it. That's better. So now you can see right now, this is really cool. Because I haven't tried this exact method before. But now you can see, look, now we have these like pieces that are getting kind of like separated. Instead of delete geometry, you could potentially do like separate geometry. That's another option that you could do. Or kind of come in here and be like, okay, you know what? I actually want this to have less vertices. And maybe I don't want to triangulate it. Maybe I just want it to look like this, right? This just kind of like gives you a rough idea of like maybe how you could do this, so you can kind of collapse things. Yeah, you can plug it in image texture. Let's try it. And then think about that. But you certainly can. You could plug in our height map from earlier. We need a UV. There we go. Now you can do something like this. How awesome is that? So awesome. Hold on. That's cool, because then you can take an image and you can basically destroy things like with that image. Or you could be like, you know what? It's not destroyed and it's slowly disintegrating over time, right? Just like that. But I just like wanted to show you guys this because there's just so much you can do with geometry nodes. I don't even remember where we started here, but like this gives you an idea of like how do you erode things, right? And again, it doesn't have to be a grid. It can be a cube with a bunch of subdivisions potentially. Let's see if this works. And instead of deleting, let me just do this real quick. Instead of deleting points, we'll delete faces. I don't know, 20, 20, 20. Yep, there we go. So now we're deleting faces. Let me just do this. We have a cube, and we're deleting like random faces here, right? Pretty cool, right? And then you can kind of come in here and say subdivide or subdivision surface, right? Kind of round all that out, right? Now you have this interesting thing where it's like this rounded cheese block, right? And then you're like, you know what? I want to plug in some noise texture here. Ooh, starting to get interesting. Color ramp it. Okay, we color ramp it. Make this thing have a little bit more like contrast here, right? Something like that. Now look. Oh, wait a second. Now we really have something interesting here, right? Now you kind of adjust the scale. Or you know what? Better yet, you make it 4-dimensional, adjust the W, and now you're basically making this thing change with a giant, let's see if we can do this, with a giant noise texture. Pretty darn cool. And that's with 20 subdivisions, or I guess vertices, if you will. You could even make it something even more interesting like this, right? And you kind of come in here and you're like, ooh. And you know what? You go to frame 60. You say, you know what? I want to use the scene time to animate this so that I don't have to. You just take the frame, plug it in here. Little fast. Let's go ahead and add a math node so we can dumb it down just a little bit. And don't worry, I will check the comments in just a second. A little bit better, even more. Okay, now we're kind of like animating this thing. It looks pretty cool, right? Maybe we give it a little bit more. Okay, now we have this really interesting thing, right? And then we come in here and we're like, you know what? I want to extrude it. I want to extrude all of it. Not maybe just by a little bit, right? Or you do this. You do mesh to volume. Densities high. Wait, why is this acting all weird? It's acting weird. I guess you could do it a little differently. But anyway, you could distribute things. I mean, there's so many things. I can't even begin to tell you like how many things I could think of that you could do with this. You could even do this smooth geometry. The only thing I don't like about this is I wish it was a little bit more organic and fluid. And I think the reason it's not, is it the roughness? Could be. Maybe it's too slow. Oh, because we normalized it? No, that's not it. Maybe we don't have enough to work with. No, let's do 20. Anyway, you guys get the idea. I think this is awesome. You get the idea. You get the idea. 2 sessions in 1 day. If CG Cookie is holding you hostage, blink rapidly. Yo. No. I just genuinely love Blender, and I find it so fun. All right, Mr. Wave 3X, did you type in for me what you wanted me to look up? You said Alt BRB. Oh, Control. Or you said you're gonna be right back. Oh, you got it. All right, hit us up. What is it? I iterate very quickly, and I do not save very often. But I probably should, right? Because there's a lot of fun things that we can create. Send it over, bro. I'm waiting. Waiting on you, bro. You said chain whip, right? You wanted me to design a chain whip? Do you have the name of the chain whip so I can look it up? All right, we're good to go. Low poly sword for a light duty laptop. All right, I got you, bro. Low poly sword, you said? Bro's not answering me over here, so I don't know. You said low poly sword, like really, really low poly, right? There you go. There's your low poly sword, bro. A protective dome shield? What? Bro didn't hit me up with the chain whip thing. Protective dome shield? What is that? This? Long stream today? Yes, sir. Is this what you're talking about? Like this? Or this one? What kind of dome shield are we talking about? Is it from like a video or something like that? Oh, that's cool. See, that's cool because it's like, depending on like what's attacking, like, I guess it'll like look like that. I'm copying this. Hold on. All right, here we go. All right, Castlevania Morningstar Whip. Is this it right here? Oh, there's so many. Wow, there's a lot of these guys here. Okay. I feel like this looks kind of like what we're looking for here. Wow, there's a lot of them. This is wild. Oh, this is kind of a cool one though. I kind of dig it. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. Should we use? Is this the one right here? Is this the one we're kind of going for here? Let's go for this one. Go for it. Save the image. All right. I think this is it. Yeah, I feel like this is the one. All right, let's add our reference image in. Actually, let's do this. I like this better. We'll go up here. We'll change this to the image editor, and we'll just simply open up the image in our downloads. Chain whip, yeah. So I got the right, did I get the right one? Just to clarify, that is the one. Okay, that one. All right, awesome. All right, I'm literally, guys, just gonna go for this. I am gonna do complete free for all here, and we're gonna try to get this to the best of our abilities. Now, I am not using any reference images except for this one, so I really am just kind of gonna guess on like some of the proportions and things like that. But for the most part, I think I have a rough idea of how I would model something like this. So we're gonna kind of deep dive into like how you would model this. And again, this is completely based on like what I think it looks like. So I'm gonna start with this central part right here. This is kind of like the cylinder that I feel like makes up the base of the whip, and I'm gonna kind of just go for it. I'm gonna take this cylinder. I'm gonna probably just delete this top face. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in here so we can see this. I'm gonna kind of create this like small area up here. Okay, we're gonna do this, a little something like that, and scale this in. We'll go ahead and scale it up. Oops, easy. There we go. And scale it in, and we're gonna fill. We're gonna do face grid fill, and we're good to go. All right, so that's gonna be the first part of it. I'll add my subdivision workflow. Now you see it's gonna get really weird at the bottom here. It's okay, we're gonna add a loop cut because we're gonna be hiding most of that part anyway. So this is kind of like the start of the entire thing. Now, if you don't wanna have this weird issue, you can actually add what's called an edge split right before your subdiv, and that should fix any issues that you have. Now down at the bottom, I actually do need to delete this face, actually, funny enough. And I need to bring this loop up. And then I think, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Scale this out a little bit. I'm going to bring a loop cut all the way down here. And I'm going to bevel this just a little bit to get that kind of roundness. That looks good. And there you go. And then for the bottom, so these parts here, I'm going to kind of guess on like what they look like. Now the proportions, we can also, you know, figure that out later. I'm going to call this whip. Not work in progress, but like an actual whip, right? Oh, to protect a hero in sci-fi. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So for this bottom section, I think the way that I kind of like see this is I kind of see like a spiraled version of like the same shape over and over again. I'm almost seeing something that looks like this. I'll show you guys. Scale this down. I'm seeing something that looks like this. Okay, so we basically have this edge pushed in. It's really skinny, like it's kind of like that, right? Kind of starts like that. And then we kind of have this edge get like pushed in here, like this maybe even. Oopsies. GX I meant. There we go. So we kind of have something like that, right? And then what I'm thinking we can do is basically just get a loop cut in here. And then just take this piece here and bring it out on the X. Something like that, right? And then it kind of just gets like wrapped around. Just an idea. Let's see if we can array this. But I want to array this in a circular motion. So I want to kind of match like what we're seeing right here. So instead of a line, I'll choose a circle. And then how many we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe like 7. I don't know, something like that. And then before I do that though, or maybe even after, I'll just do a subdivision surface. We'll do 2 levels, maybe 3. And then I want to kind of bring the top up to make it a little bit like sharper. Okay, that looks good. And then the bottom kind of almost comes to a point. So I think I might just scale it in a little bit. Oopsies, I didn't select everything. Thought I did. Scale it in on the X and then scale it in on the Y. And then bring it in on the X, kind of like that. And now I know what you're thinking. I know, there's more. Hold on, I'm not done. Go ahead and bring this out on the X because we kind of want to have this kind of like almost bow outwards, kind of like that. And then for the top, I think I need to chisel it a little bit more. And I also want to bring this edge back more like that. That looks a little bit better. And then I think I might just give it like, you know, shade smooth. That looks like kind of like that rough shape. But then I kind of want the edge, this edge right here, to be a little bit more chiseled. So what I'll do is I'll go to my mean bevel weight, or my mean vertex crease, or just do regular mean crease. Yeah. See how we can like kind of chisel that a little bit more? Same thing up here. We can kind of chisel that. I do notice there is a vertex that's trapped in here. Where is it? Oh, there isn't. So I got to bring this up more. And you know what? This probably could get subdivided here. No, you know what? No, we're not doing that. I think it's good. And you know what? For these guys, I'm going to reduce the... There we go. That looks good. Okay, I'm talking to myself. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to make sure I sort this through so that we get it the way that we want to. All right, that looks good. And then for the top part, it kind of is similar, but in this case, it's gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna have kind of like this sort of like, I almost want to create this profile. I think I have an idea for what we can do for this. I think I'm gonna add a plane, tab into edit mode, RX90, scale it. Actually, I'm gonna bring it up. I'm going to subdivide it, and I'm gonna delete the vertices on the left because I just want to work with the ones on the right. I'm gonna go ahead and scale it down, bring it about right here. Scale it down a bunch, actually. Bring it about right here. Again, I'm gonna be using like a bunch of modifiers and things like that, but I think first thing I'll do is just kind of like sketch out what I think this looks like. Kind of goes here. Okay, we're gonna do a subdiv workflow as usual because I want to make sure this thing is nice and smooth here on all the edges. Okay, good. And then we will like obviously work on the chisel and things like that. Okay, good. I'm just adding loop cuts, and I'm just kind of moving things around like as I see fit. GX, there we go. These two right here should really have a sharp crease. Yeah, there we go. So like kind of something like that, and then it's going to come out at the end. Okay, it's going to come out again. And then this piece is going to come here. And then these two pieces are going to have a very sharp vertex crease. Bring this here. I'm kind of just, I don't know, I'm trying my best to get what I think this looks like, but it's probably not going to be like perfect, but like you kind of get the rough idea. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like it. All right, here's what we're going to do now. I think, actually, I'm going to bring this up. I need to bring these in more. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, okay? I'm going to move it onto the outside. I'm going to give it some solidity. And I want it to be on both sides, so I'm going to actually adjust the offset here. Give it a little bit of solidity. I don't know if this will work, but I just kind of want to give it a bevel. I might be able to do this a slightly different way. Give it a slight bevel. I want it to be like chiseled though, kind of like the way it is on here. In order to do that, I would probably have to take this thing into edit mode. So I'm tempted to say, let me, this is a tough one. I'm going to convert this to a mesh. Actually, hold on. Let me undo that. I got my subdiv. Let me think this through before I go on any crazy tangents here. I'm tempted to say this could be done slightly differently, but I just want to see. And you know what? Actually, now that I'm here, I want to bring this up. Bring this right here. I feel like that's kind of close. I guess these come out more. It's tough because like I don't really have the actual like image, but let me do something here. Let me solidify it. And let me do this array, and then I'll just do a circular array again. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to say there's 8, but I could be wrong. So this gives you like a rough idea of like kind of what might go into this, right? But then I'm thinking if I take this though, and I have an idea. Let's do this. Let's do this before we solidify, or I'm sorry, before we array it. Let me do this. Let me take our solidify. Oh, I guess I might just convert this whole thing to a mesh. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a loop cut. I think this will work. If I scale this out on the X, yep, then I have something that looks like that. Scale it out on the Z a little bit. Now I have something that looks like that. Nice. And then I'm going to increase the crease right here. And then I'm going to add my subdiv. Before that, I might try edge split to see if that fixes it. Fixes it. If it doesn't, that's fine. I'll just shade it smooth. It did help a little bit. Oh, we had something. Why is that happening? Oh, because is it the subdiv doing that? It is, but when we split the edges, oh, that's so annoying. All right, tell you what we'll do instead. We'll just shade it auto smooth. That's fine. All right, and then what we'll do is we'll do an array. And in this case, we'll do an array. Of course, we'll do it on the circle. And then we'll do, what did I have, 8 on there? It doesn't look terrible. I mean, it's definitely like, it could use some work, but you kind of like get the basic idea. All right, what's above that? What's above that? Whew. I mean, we're going to go for it, right? We're going to go for it. You know why? Because that is what we do. Also, let's make this look a little bit better. Let's turn on random colors. Let's turn on cavity. Both. Raise these guys up. There we go. Now we're really modeling, ladies and gentlemen. Whew, that looks really good, doesn't it? And you know what? Could we do matte cap? Are we crazy enough to do matte cap? Is there chrome on here? What do we got? That's kind of a sick one. But I don't want a random. I just want an object. Oh. Now we're really modeling, boys. Now we're really modeling. Let's go. Subdivide it. I'm in the zone now, ladies and gentlemen. We are not messing around anymore. All right, now again, I'm going to be kind of really just going for this. I am going to add a mirror so we can kind of see what we're doing on the other side. I really don't know what this thing looks like. I mean, I've never really seen this, but I'm going to subdivide this a couple of times and kind of just work with the geometry that I have. I'm tempted to say that, like, this is going to be kind of a challenge for me just because I don't, like I said, I don't really do a lot of things like this. So I'll just try my best. I'm also going to add a subdiv to this as well. There we go. And again, I'm just going to kind of go for it. I'm just kind of cutting pieces out right now. Like, I'm just going to cut these vertices out because I'm seeing this kind of like butterfly shape, if you will. And I'm going to just kind of, like I said, just kind of do my best. All right, let's see. We got this butterfly shape. This piece kind of comes down. Let's see. Okay, this piece kind of comes up. This piece kind of comes down. And then this piece, there's like a cheekbone, if you will, there. This gets pressed in. This gets pressed out. And then these guys move up. I want to say these guys all move up. Yep, this guy gets moved up even more. This guy gets pressed in. Kind of like that. I feel like we're getting kind of closer to the shape. Doesn't have to be perfect, you know, because we don't really know exactly like what this thing is supposed to look like. But for the most part, this looks, I feel like I'm pretty close to like what it actually looks like, right? What do you guys think? Yeah, it's looking kind of sick. And then obviously we give it a solidify, right? Can't go wrong with solidify. A little bit of solidity. A little bit of thickness there. Can we give it a nice bevel? I think we might be able to. Slight bevel? Do we get in the bevel? Is the bevel coming through there? It's not. That's okay. I am going to do a very dangerous thing, and I'm going to convert this to a mesh. I am going to give it a nice sharp loop cut down the middle. Scale that out. Now we have something that looks like that. Now, if we want to get even crazier, we can come in here, add a loop cut in here, add a loop cut in here. You guys know where I'm going with this? Add a loop cut in here, add a loop cut in here, and just scale them each in. Just a little bit. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and try to match it as best as I can. Okay, I think we're almost good to go. I feel like that looks pretty good. Now, obviously, if you wanted to, and there's even more you could do. Like, you could take this centerpiece, you could bring it out, and you could do that with like proportional editing. So if you really wanted to, you could do G, Y, you know, you could do something like that, right? Just an idea. In fact, you could take this and just do SY, scale it just a little bit like that. You don't have to. Anyway, I'm going crazy with it. But this is just like a basic idea of like maybe how you could go about doing this. So far for the whip, we have, let's just see what we have here. We have this. It's looking pretty good. And what are we missing here? Oh, there's this thing that goes around it. We'll come back to that. That's a nice detail to add. I think we're about ready for the chain. So I think this is going to be the fun part, because what we're going to be able to do next is we're actually going to be able to make a chain using a curve. So let's add a Bezier curve. Let's go up, and we'll be able to use geometry nodes for this a little bit too, I think. All right, so the curve starts right here at the top. Now, in order to see this, I want to make sure you guys can see this okay on the live stream. I'm going to go into my geometry settings, and I'm just going to give it some round depth just so you can kind of see where the curve is, okay? Kind of want to start basically right here in the middle. And it kind of just goes right up top. And also, you'll notice we have a resolution. I'm going to bump up that resolution on both sides. This kind of just like whips around. Well, pun intended, yes. Extrude. It looks like it goes behind, right? And then it kind of goes, I don't know, like down and in front. So I'll go here. I don't love, there we go, that's better. I don't love it so far. Hold on. We're going to rotate it on the Z. Perfect. We're going to bring it up. coming along. I want it to be close to this, but not exactly. That's a little bit better. Rotate it again. Scale. And this is going to be the part, this is going to be the important part, because this is the part that kind of comes across. Yeah, okay, so this, I feel like this needs to be tucked a little bit closer. This comes up a little bit. I feel like that's pretty decent. Not 100% happy with the way it's curving, but that's fine. That should work. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. I think it's this part that it's bugging me. Is it the, it might be this part. Sometimes the curves can have like a little bit of a mind of their own. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, so there's the chain, and now it's up to us to decide, okay, like, do we design a chain link? I kind of think we have to. How hard would it be to rig? Not as hard as you might think, but kind of hard. I mean, it depends. You could do rigid body physics, you could do soft body physics. Oh my god, there's so many things you could do. But let's focus on the modeling for right now. Maybe we'll get to touch on that. All right, don't let me get ahead of myself. All right, so what do we need? We're gonna need a mesh. We're gonna need a Taurus. I'm just gonna use this Taurus as our like base. So I'm gonna tab into edit mode and flip it. Now we don't need the bottom half. So hold on, bring this up. We don't need the bottom half. So I'm just gonna delete anything from like right here, and then I'm gonna take both of these kind of like edge loops here. I am going to SZ0 to get them to look like that. EZ, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically just mirror this on the x-axis. I mean z-axis, sorry. Turn on my clipping, we're good. And there's like one chain link, if you will. Probably, obviously, going to make these all smaller. They're going to end up being more like this size, right? Yeah, and then there's these points on the chain links. I actually want to model that too, because I think that looks cool. So there's these points. I think we might be able to just kind of get away with like something really, really simple here. If we add like a loop cut, I'm tempted to say we can kind of just punch them out right here, or I guess technically it'll be right here. I think we can just punch them out right here. Now we have proportional editing on, so let me see something. Yeah, this is cool. Oh, and you know what else I need to do? I need to cut it in half the other way. Mirror it on this side. There we go. So now what we can do, I think, is if we just take our like edge piece right here. Why can I not? There we go. If I take this and I poke it out like that, I wonder if I could do a loop cut on that. Oh, I can't. I want to see something. If I do a subdiv on this. I want to see if I can do a vertex crease. Can I? Oh, that's sick. Can I do auto smooth? Buddy. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. That is one sharp thing. Let me tell you. All right, so now we're just going to place them along the curve, right? Just manually, right? Psych. No, we're not. We are going to, this will be a fun one. So there's a lot of ways we could do this. We could do it on geometry nodes, or we could do it with an array modifier. Let's try it with the array, and if it doesn't work, that's okay. We won't do it. But let me just try the array modifier with the curve selected, the curve being this curve, and our stuff just disappeared. Where the heck is it? No curve selected. I thought I just selected the curve, bro. What are you talking about? Okay, hold on a second. Right. I thought I selected the Bezier curve. Oh, because it has a mesh. That's why. That's okay. So hold on. Let me do this. We take the curve, duplicate it, and then I'll just get rid of the geometry, and hopefully that'll work. And if it doesn't, don't worry, guys. I got a workaround. Let's go ahead and select the new curve. There it is. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll increase the count. Now, there's a couple of things we have to do here to make this actually work. One of the first things we have to do is we have to go back into our curve, all right? And we're going to actually duplicate this, right? And we're going to flip it, RZ90, okay? I'm sorry. Ignore what I just said. We're not going to duplicate it yet. we're going to actually, before our array, we're going to uncheck that. We are going to convert this to a mesh, right? Tab into edit mode, Shift D to duplicate, RZ90, RZ90, there we go. And now we have our actual chain links. Cool. Now we can add our array. We can do our curve, and then we'll just hide this curve. Now for our curve, we'll go back, we'll select our torus, and we'll select our original, well, our second, technically our second curve. Increase the count, and then we have to adjust the orientation as well. So the orientation, well, actually we don't have to adjust the orientation. We can go here to the modeling tab, and we can actually select everything, rotate it 90 degrees, and then we just have to scale it down as well. Okay. And we have to bring it back down to our proper, there we go. We wanted to bring it back down to the origin, which is right here. And if I set my origin up just right on the middle where they both kind of like intersect, it should look correct. And it does. It's looking sick. All right, looking good. Now, obviously, we can make the chains better if we wanted to. Like they're looking good, but like obviously, there's always room for improvement. Now, the one thing I will say, the only caveat to this method is if you look, we do have distance here. Actually, look, we can adjust the distance. There we go. Oh crap! Crap. Be really careful with the distance. It was not adjusting in real time for me. Hold on. Let me go to. Oh, I am in solid view. The distance you may want to adjust so they're actually overlapping. Before they weren't, now they are. Okay, now that's one way to do it. It may not be the best way to do it, but it's one way to do it. Whew. Control S. All right, we saved it. We're good. We're golden. Now, let's see what else we need. All right, so far, this thing is looking pretty darn sick. I'm very pleased with it so far. Let's do this weird piece next. And I actually think we can reuse what we have here. So I'm actually going to duplicate this. I am going to get rid of the array. Actually, no, I don't need to get rid of the array. I'll just do count of 4. I'm going to bring this to like where it's supposed to be, which is like right here. Okay, and we'll rotate it when we're done, but I just want to edit this real quick. So for this one, I think it's really just going to be a matter of getting rid of the array and then adjusting as we see fit. But you know what I just realized is that we have, it's all like extruded. It's a big mesh. So I might just, I could redo this one. I wonder if I can get away with it with proportional editing. Should we try it and just see if we can get away with it? I don't know that we'll be able to. I don't want to risk it looking really bad, but let me just see something here. If we take this piece and we turn on proportional editing, I wonder if I can just push this whole area back a little bit. Nah, you know what? I don't want to risk it. I want it to look good. So let's do it traditionally how we would. Let's do this. Bring it over here. Scale it down. And we're just going to do this like the traditional way, the way that we did the last one. Just because I want it to be really good. Because now I'm pretty proud of this. This is actually kind of like a cool project. Like, I'm enjoying this one a lot. I hope you guys are too. All right. I'm just going to make it perfectly symmetrical on both sides. So I'm going to do a mirror on the X and the Z. And I'm going to delete our vertices down here. So now anything I do here happens on all sides, right? So we'll do this, do a little bit of this, little loop cut action. A little loop cut action, pretty please, good lord. Subdivide, of course, always. And then we'll do a little, I'll do a little crease here. We'll do a little crease action in the middle, right? And we'll come back to that. I know it's not perfect, but we'll come back to it. Let's go ahead and extrude this guy up, bring this guy in. Let's see. I think we need to extrude again. And then again. And then it looks like this guy has a slant to it. Oh, I'm in proportional editing, bro. All right, it's okay. And we'll go ahead and give this a vertex crease. Looking good so far. And then we want to have the mirror. Oh, you know what? We don't need a mirror. Bro, what am I doing? I don't even need a mirror. I'm crazy. All right. In fact, we do need to bring these up. Easy. There we go. And look, see how they're overlapping? We're going to have them merge. That looks good. This is looking okay. I feel like that's looking not too terrible. I feel like I'm pretty happy with that. Let's bring it here. Let's go back to solid view. Let's give it a solidify with no offset. A little bit of thickness there. I feel like that's looking pretty darn good. Although, hold on, let me see. Maybe a little bit less thick. I don't know. Let's go ahead and convert this to a mesh. Tab into edit mode. We'll go ahead and give this a really nice little loop cut here. Scale this bad boy out. Maybe we'll like really amplify it. I feel like that looks pretty good. All right, let's give it an array. We're like almost ready to do shading on this thing. I'm kind of like getting excited for being able to shade this thing. What do we got? 4. And give this some offset here. And then we're going to go ahead and rotate this bad boy. First of all, let's go. Oh, we got to get the piece that it attaches to. How's that looking? I feel like it's not looking terrible, although I do think technically this is like, there does seem to be like more space in the middle, but I guess it's fine. We'll kind of keep coming back to it. All right, so we have this. Everything's like kind of modeled real nice here. I think we need to create this like, it's like a chain link, but it's almost like a square chain link. So I'm tempted to say we can probably get away with a cube. Let's do this. Let's see here. All right, so what I was originally thinking for this one is we kind of just delete the side face and the back face. And then let me just position this properly. Let me just see here. Because I think I have an easy way where we can do this. I do feel like there's a way that this actually attaches, but let's do this. Let's solidify it inwards. Let's give it a little bevel. I feel like something like that is kind of what it looks like, right? Maybe just like really thick, because this thing is like a big shackle, if you will. Yeah, okay, and this gets brought up. And really, it's honestly, if you really look at it, it's actually almost more circular in the middle. I feel like that looks good. Maybe bring it down because it really should be touching because of the weight. And then if you look, it's really hard to see, but I'm almost tempted to say there's a cylinder sitting right there. So let's just grab a cylinder, scale it down a bunch, bring it right here. We'll just go ahead and tab into edit mode. We'll scale it down. Maybe just make it match like the rough orientation of this. That's fine. Really should be more like that. This really should be more like that. Cool. And then we'll give this a nice little bevel action. Before we do that, though, we should really apply our scale because the bevel is going to get confused here. Shade it smooth. Not 100% happy with it, but I feel like that'll do. All right, that's probably fine, right? All right, there's our piece there. Oh, okay, we need to wrap this thing around the handle, and then I think we're almost ready to do shading. I feel like it's like actually kind of like really coming together. Yeah, no, this thing is kind of sick, not gonna lie. Nice suggestion, whoever suggested this. And then, you know what? I guess we got to do the red flame too because, well, we might as well. All right, so I'm getting a double wrap here. It looks like this is wrapped around twice. I have an idea. I think I'm going to do some curve objects. So if you go up to edit preferences, you can actually search for extensions. I think it's curve extra. Is it extra curve objects? There it is. Extra curve objects. We'll go ahead and install that. We'll go to add curve, and I want a curve spiral. And I want a, let's try logarithmic. Nah, I don't want a logarithmic. I want to add curve spiral Archimedean. I think this is the one I want. Turns, radius, growth, height. There we go. Height. There's the height. I need 2 wraps, so it needs 2 turns. And it needs to have a smaller radius, so it fits around this thing. Right? And I think we can probably make that work. Let's see. Yeah, that should work. And then we'll go ahead and go to our round, or no, we'll do a flat extrusion like this. Can we have it follow the hold up. can we do... I feel like there's a way to make it follow. Oh, twist method. Z up. Hey, there it is. All right, and then we'll increase the radius. There we go. Let's go ahead and scale this in a little bit so it's wrapping. Scale it up. I don't really know like where it starts and stops, but I feel like we're pretty darn close. Yeah, there we go. And then you could probably give this some thickness at this point. Why is it not really like it like is extruding properly, but we're getting like weird like shading issues? Are we getting like shade smooth, shade flat? Do we need to subdivide it more? Segments, subdivide. Shade smooth. It just looks weird, but I mean that's kind of how I would do it, more or less. And then we would probably just we could do, well, hold on, let me see if can I get solidify on this? Oh, I can get solidify. Why does it look so strange? Anybody else think it looks kind of strange? I don't know. I'm trying to think about why it would look like this. Anyway, Shift D, RZ180, and then let me think about this. RY180, I think. Now we got to flip it in the other direction. Oh, we got to do curve mirror X global. There it is. Scale it in just a little bit. Other one, scale it out just a little bit. Scale it out, and then take the other one, scale it out. Because we don't want it to coincide, but we want this other one to be on top of it. That works. Just scale it in. And then hopefully we can just adjust the thickness, if you will, of the solidify. And I'm hoping that fixes it. Ugh, we're getting some weird issues though. Clipping. This is generally how I would do it, but I'm having issues with the curve and I just don't know why. How can you match the rotation of the chain link with the shackle, the cylinder piece, and the heavy part so it looks all aligned? You mean like, oh, how can I match it, or should I match it, you're saying? You could I could match it better. You mean like this? Is that what you're saying? Like it wasn't aligned correctly? Is that better? Yeah, I guess I could probably have spent a little bit more time aligning that. I'd probably align it this way too. That looks a little bit better, right? Yes? Or no? Or do we go crazy and now it's like, boom, now it's really aligned. There we go. That looks better. Okay, I agree. That was definitely something that it was a good improvement, I would say. I don't know why we're getting like a weird like fill mode with this or something. What is it? The extrusion is like, we're getting like a weird, I don't know if it's the, maybe it's just the blend mode we're on. Let me see. Not blend mode. I'm sorry, guys. Not the blend mode. Maybe it is the fact that we're in like solid mode is what I meant to say. I want to see, does it look weird shaded in cycles? If it looks weird in cycles, then it's a problem. Okay, I don't think it does. I actually think it doesn't look terrible. So we'll come back to that. All right. Now let's we'll come back to the flame, but let's start giving this some materials. I feel like it does look pretty good though. All right, material wise, I mean, I'll be honest, I think the chain needs to be chrome. So we'll do a nice metallic with a low roughness. Also, let's go back here and add a plane. I just want to add a nice little backdrop for this real quick, if you guys don't mind. That way I can actually kind of see what's happening here. I'm just adding a plane with a edge that I extruded. I'm just going to take all this, scale it up, and add a camera in so that as I make my materials, it makes more sense to me. I like being able to look at things as they should be. Like, more or less the final product. There we go. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and disable one of my add-ons that I had. Okay, and I'm going to go to my camera. Okay, back this up. Go back to shading. There we go. And then for the background, I'll just choose like a nice dark color. And Yeah, this is already starting to look really cool. And then where was... Is it like all chrome? Like, what does this thing actually look like, though? What does it actually look like? What did I look up to get this? I forget. Yeah, what does this thing look like? Oh, look at that. Okay, so this is like a darker metal. Okay, so it's darker metal for the other parts, but the chain is chrome. But then these other pieces are like a nice, like dark, almost like a gray metal, metallic, low roughness. We'll give it like some slight roughness. We'll match these. Control L, link materials. For the background, you know what I'm thinking now? I'm like, part of me is like, do we do no background, and then for our HDRI we make it be outside, or hold on, let me see, in the forest perhaps? What like time period would this be in? There we go. I just want to see. I want to see like what this could look like outside. Let's see. I have to say this one here. Yeah. All right. Now let me just do this. Let me get us. Let me get us some depth of field here. Our object's going to be this, obviously. Really, really low depth of field. Yeah, because I want to like kind of focus on this. There it is. Much better. There we go. Much better. Okay, and then for our handle, let me see. Was the handle was the end? Okay, so we had leather, and then I feel like the inside of the handle was definitely going to be this material. So let's do this, this, and this, all the same material. It does look like, why is it looking like so dark? I actually don't want it to be like that dark. I want it to have like a little bit of variation. And then we'll give it some surface like roughness and things like that. Like we'll give it like some realistic materials. Yeah, I feel like medieval is probably the vibe, right? Medieval, yeah. And then for the leather, oof, this is gonna be a tough one. Let's zoom in. I think for the leather, ooh, I don't know why the shading is so weird, bro. Voronoi, really what you want to do is like a Voronoi texture, really scaled up, but you want to do a color ramp, and you actually want to do the F1. You want to do, was it distance to edge? I think it is distance to edge. You want some detail in there, right? You want to kind of like really crank this thing, and then scale it up for like some nice leather. You want some nice roughness on this as well. Detail is important. This one's kind of important as well, obviously scale. But for the material, you're probably going to want to do like a dark brown / light brown. I feel like it's going to be more like that, yeah. And then we'll probably plug this same thing directly into a bump node, into the height. Save this. I'm going to go to my material preview so I can see what's happening here. That looks pretty good, except for I do want to adjust it with a color ramp. There we go. How's that look? Oh, doesn't look good. Hold on. Do I have to flip this? Yeah, I think I do. That looks a little bit better. Slightly less strength. Like the materials. Starting to look like a little bit better. Slightly darker, you think? You can make it darker. In fact, easy way to make it darker. It's like this. Oh, that's, ugh, never mind. We'll just do the color. It's fine. We'll just do the color. Like that. Yeah, I feel like that looks pretty good. And then obviously you can adjust the rest. But one of the things, like I almost think, yeah, it looks pretty good. It's like subtle, but it kind of like works, you know? I don't love this material yet, so let's work on this material next. I think I need a color ramp for this one, and probably just a simple, I'm hoping like a noise texture will do it for this guy. Plugged into probably the roughness here. Okay, big scale. And then of course we're going to use some mapping as usual and a texture coordinate. Oh, so it's a sword for a specific game. That looks good. Okay, good. And let's get high roughness. Let's lower the scale a little bit. Good. I want to do this. Detail should be pretty high. That looks good. And then we'll, of course, plug this directly into a bump. Into the height. Nice. Now it looks like kind of like actual metal. You can obviously like still do color ramp action with this guy. With this guy, I meant. There we go. And you can do like, you know, you can sharpen the way this is going to look. And you don't have to like use the exact strength, but I do think that'll look like at least a little bit better. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. There's still a few things about it that I don't like love, but I mean, overall, it's looking like pretty cool. I do think that with our camera, you can obviously, we could adjust, this could be like the thing. You know, you could do something cool like that, which is always fun. But yeah, I feel like it's starting to look pretty interesting. Let me enable my depth of field in camera view so I can see. That's like at least a little bit better. Awesome. All right, this is starting to really come together. I would like to add my plane back in just for a minute, just to get some basic lighting on this. That's fine. I really want to add that flame. Where was that flame at? What did that look like? Yeah, this is already looking nice though. Let's go to Filmic. Let's go to medium high contrast. And then for our background color, again, like you can get some more contrast by doing this. Right now we have an outside HDRI. You know me, I love a nice like blue. That's always nice. All right, let's see what's next. How to make this run on a laptop? Oof. Yeah, I don't know. It's actually a tough one. I can't say that that's, I can't necessarily say that that might be possible or not. So, the red part of it, like, it's like a flame. I'm trying to think, like, how would you do the flame? Oh man, I mean, you could do a real physics simulation, but I don't really want to do that. I'd rather do like kind of like a fun effect, like if you will, like something maybe involving like transparency, maybe like a real flame. I have an idea. Let me see if I can find something here. I'll show you guys a really cool trick if we can find it. How about, let me see what it looks like. Okay, it's kind of like coming through. I feel like we can probably do this. If I can find the correct flame that I'm looking for, we might be able to pull this off. That might work. I feel like we can make this one work. Let's try it. Is that oh, it's a weird file type. I might not be able to do it. Although I could just screenshot it real quick. Also, I do not own any of these images. I'm just using them for practice in Blender. I should probably say that up front. This is all for practice in Blender. Ooh, that one's kind of sick. Let me see if I can import the first one, and if I can as a mesh plane, then we might be golden. Does Blender support it? And Blender supported it. Woohoo! All right, so let's do this. Show you guys a cool trick. We'll take our flame. Now, watch what I am about to do. This is like a really cool technique. I've used this before, and I've talked about this before, but I don't see it being used often. So I have my plane, right? I'm going to use a mix shader with a transparency, and we're basically going to cut the background out. So we're going to take the initial color. It's already working pretty good. We're going to take the initial color, get our color ramp from that, and then we're going to drive the factor. So right now, it's cutting out all the white stuff, but we want it to cut out the black stuff. Look at that. You guys see that? Now we have just the flame. And instead of principled, we could make this emission, right? So we could say emission. So we want this to actually like emit light from that color. Now we have something that we can actually work with. And this is like a flame, right? That is like now actually emitting color, or emitting like a real like light, if you will. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I don't know how good this is going to look, but we're going to try it. And it doesn't look terrible, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it. Let's see if I can do this. Scale this down maybe a little bit. It doesn't look like actually like that horrible. It may not be like necessarily that believable, but again, trying it out. And then let me snap to my camera view. So what you can do now that you have this is you can actually change the hue and saturation. So these all have the same like color. Oopsies. Put it right here. These all have the same attribute, which is going to be, let's see, we can try to do. I almost want to do this twice. I'm going to see if I can get it to red. That doesn't want me to do red. That was kind of close to red. I can oversaturate it. You almost need to isolate the white part, but you get the that's like the basic idea. So now we have something that looks like this. It's kind of cool though, because then you can come in here and be like, okay, maybe I want one of these to be like a little bit smaller. Maybe you want to place another one like a little bit over here. Is there another one I can select? Just gonna select this guy here. This is the original, right? And you can kind of just place these guys like wherever you see fit that makes this thing look cool, right? Just be careful, because if you convert it, or if you switch it too much, then you can kind of just see like, I don't know. You got to be kind of careful. Now you can do the same thing with a video. So if you have an animated flame, you can actually like make a real like animated flame, which is pretty cool. But again, that's like a whole different like process there, right? And if you want to make it even more dramatic, you dumb down the strength of the world. And now you have like this really strong glow. And you can come in here where the emission is, and you can raise this up, right? And make it even more like dramatic. Pretty cool. I think this one is kind of looking sick. This was a fun one. Obviously, that's like maybe a tad too dramatic, but cool way to do it nonetheless. Nonetheless, my friends, that was a fun one. Did you guys enjoy that one? I enjoyed that one. I actually thought that was a really cool one. Make the model low quality. Oof. That's tough. That's tough. Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was fun. 10 out of 10. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, this is the I will say too, like with modeling wise, I really enjoyed like modeling it in this view. Like this was a cool. We'll have to do this for like the rest of them. Like this was a nice view to like kind of see what this thing was gonna look like. And like it's funny because like I'm looking at this, I'm like, darn, that should be a shader. But I guess it is technically like in here. Like laugh out loud, love it, dude. Or I said love it, dude. It's awesome. Thank you. I did not expect it to turn out so good. It was challenging. Yeah, there was a few challenges here and there. I think the hardest part actually was picking out like the materials that I wanted, because sometimes you do this and it's like, oh crap, like I don't really know how I want to light this thing or whatever, you know. Also with the camera, I'm just going to disable depth of field so we can kind of like see what this is going to look like. And one thing I like to do sometimes, maybe you guys do too, is I like to go to film and just enable like transparency so we can kind of like see just the model and like kind of just like go in and like inspect it and like take a look at what it looks like. I'm pretty proud of it. I would say overall, I feel like it turned out pretty cool. Yeah, I would say it turned out pretty cool. All right, it is time for a short little bathroom break. What is it? 10:22. Oh my gosh. All right, guys, comment below. Let me know what you want to see modeled next or created next. What should I create next? Question mark. We have model my hat. Laser. We could just make a funny one that's laser beam from eyes. I don't know how like realistic I'm gonna get that. Model something else, you dummy. I'll make a funny one. I can't wait to see what you guys decide. Bring this back up while you guys are waiting. All right, guys, go ahead and vote below. I'll be right back. Give me 2 seconds and All right, I accidentally clicked stop stream and then start stream, so I hope it's still working. I didn't mean to do that. Oh my god, guys. You all voted model something else, you dummy. Come on, come on. Come on. I did set myself up for that one though. Well geez, if you really feel that way. Okay, whose hat? Oh, he's talking about the hat. This hat one up here. I haven't, I've never modeled a hat. I don't really know how I would begin to do that. It has a, oh my god. Oh no, we're getting more votes for model something, you dummy. Okay, so here we go. I guess it's time to decide on something else to model then in that case. Let me think. I guess I could try to design a hat. I don't know. We'll try it. Let me look it up. Hat. All right, now that I know what a hat looks like, I mean, I guess I could go for your classic flat brim hat. God, there's so many. I want a good angle of this though, so I can kind of see the proportions here. I feel like that's a pretty decent angle. The hardest part is going to be probably the stitching, I would have to say. Let me think. This will be actually might be more difficult than you might think, but we'll try it out. We'll save it. Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be an interesting one. Is there another side view of this thing? Just top view, back view. A funky robot that has a witch at the glowing rings. Wait, what? A funky robot that has witch with glowing rings? You have no idea it's 5 a.m. Okay, I got you. We would also like to see the hard top bent to have curvature. Okay. All right. Well, let's try it out. I don't know how hard this is going to be, but we're going to try it, aren't we? Because that's what we're here to do, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. All right, so, I mean, I guess the way I see it is the top, I'm thinking a sphere, obviously, for this kind of cap part. But there's different parts to a hat. You know, I got to take my hat off. I'm going to take my hat off. My hair doesn't look great today, but it's fine. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 6 pieces. Okay, I have some ideas of how we can probably do this. It's funny because I look at this now and I'm almost making myself unfold the hat. Low quality crossbow. Oh, you're really all about the high and low quality. Okay, I'll put crossbow on there. Hold on. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, low quality versus high quality crossbow. Okay. All right, so what I'm thinking originally here, if you add in a sphere, right? Check this out. If you add in a sphere, I'm just going to show you guys this. There's a little menu. Not a lot of people use this, but I'm going to use it because if you do 6 of these things, that's how many are on this, right? So I know that for a fact. I can increase this, right, to kind of increase those amounts. But the other thing about this is once you confirm it, you're done. You messed up. That's it, right? You can't really kind of go back on it. So I'm just going to kind of hope that I have everything correct. I would say this is the start of the hat. This is kind of how you start. You kind of take this part here and then you have to kind of take these seams and do something with these seams. But now that we have one piece, my question is, can we take that one piece, right? Hear me out. And then just array it around. Let's see if we can do that. Because if we can, that would be absolutely huge, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything but this last piece. I'm going to delete all those faces. Okay? And then I'm going to do an array. But I'm going to do it in a circle. And I'm going to do 6 of them, right? So now when I do something to this, it happens to all of them. So I feel like this is probably the best way to start. However, you're probably thinking, okay, that's cool, Kenny, and all, but what are you going to do with that, right? What am I actually going to do? Well, here's my idea. I think if I take this piece, give it a little bit of inset on both sides, right? Just kind of take this piece, and we take the edge, and we kind of take this edge and kind of like scale them in. Now we have something interesting because now I kind of have like those partitions, if you will, in the hat itself, right? Okay. Extrude, scale. Wait, why can I not? Hold on, let me come back for a second. I actually, now that I'm looking at this, I'm actually thinking, do I take these and scale these out a little bit? And that becomes, did I do that right? Can that just become like this? Oh, because I don't have, oh, it's because the quads are weird up here. Bro, I was like, why? You know what's funny? When I was adding those in, I was like, why are they looking so weird? And I think I know now. Let me not add them. Let me start with this. I was wondering why I couldn't add a loop cut because this is a try up here. Bro, I never would have like thought about that. Why can I not get out of this? There we go. Okay, now that I know that, what I think I might do is I might just delete this top vertex here, and I'm going to extrude inwards. I feel like that might be the way to do it. And then I will add a loop cut here and here. There we go. Better. I feel like that's better. GG to slide. There we go. GG to slide. All right, now I'll take the external ones. Well, first I'm going to redo the array. The add kills me appear every minute. They appear every minute. Sorry, I have it enabled. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, this is a good challenge. There's an add-on to bring that menu back. Oh, really? To bring the menu back so you can keep modifying? See, that's kind of nice. Like, I think I might use something like that. I almost am tempted to say, do we just take these edge loops? Again, I'm trying to like think this through without ruining this whole thing. That doesn't look terrible. Yeah, there we go. Just bring it in just a little bit. All right, it doesn't look horrible, but I also feel like it's a little bit exaggerated, so I might just bring it in just a little bit. Oh, this is where things are going to get interesting. I want to try something. I want to try subdiv on this. Oops. Hat. Because now I'm curious. You know what's funny? I've actually done this before. I have tried to model a hat before, and I remember I had like a lot of difficulties with it. I just don't remember like exactly what it was that was difficult about it. But now that I realize this, I realize something. I need to use proportional editing on the bottom because I want to bring this out, but I want to bring it out, well, sort of with everything else. Like I want to kind of bring it out, but I want to bring it out more like this. I want to bring this whole thing out, really. Actually, scratch that. I want to bring some of it out. I want to bring like maybe this part out. There we go. Because I want it to be somewhat circular at the bottom. Does that make sense? That looks almost better at the bottom. Do you guys kind of see what I'm saying though? I kind of want it to like, oh, you know what I can do? I think I can do connected. Connected only. That's what I can do. Yep. So now when I bring it out, oh no, these are all connected. They're all connected. Hold on. Can I do connected only? Oh, I wish I could do connected only from just that vertex. That would have been nice. You know what though? That's okay. We'll figure something out. I wonder if I can take that and then smooth it. God, there's so many ways we could go about doing this. What's annoying about this is like now that it's here, I'm wondering, can we just add the smooth modifier to this after the fact with a ridiculous amount of repeats, which actually does technically kind of work. And then we add a fake sphere in the middle, right? So we take, I'm just curious, can we do this? Just curious. If we add a sphere now, and we take that sphere and just cut it in half. I wonder if we can just use that as the base underneath. Is that cheating? I feel like it's not. I feel like it's not cheating. So now we have a base underneath that we can add thickness to if we want to. I feel like maybe, is that cheating? I don't know. I don't think it's cheating. All right, you know what? I'm overthinking it, guys. But here's what I do want to do. I do want to take these two lines, or these two edges, Shift D, Y, separate, and I'll just say selection. Yeah, because I wanna use that. Okay, good, got that. And then this can come into here. And I want to extrude it on the Y. I want this to have a subdivision surface. And a loop cut that comes all the way back here. And I want to round it out right here a little bit. I feel like that is probably how I would go about it. And now we have to kind of like bend this entire thing. So let me see what the wireframe looks like. Let's do this. Let's do simple deform. And then for the simple deform, I'll do we want bend? Or do we want twist? I feel like we want, I guess we want twist. Where's the freaking origin on this thing? There it is. Perfect. Okay. And then we want to have an object. I'll do an empty plane axis. GUI. I think this will work if I choose this as my axis. And then I want to do what? Z? Bro, why isn't it just deforming? I don't understand. All right, I'll just do this curve. Have it follow a curve. Okay, there's the curve. We'll have it just follow this curve. I'm going to make this curve dumb down a little bit so it doesn't follow it like too strongly. And I'm pretty sure if I click on this, I can just, I'm pretty sure it'll like kind of just wrap around this curve. On the Z, or is we don't know Y. Bro, what? Oh. Oh my God. Hold on a second there, guys. I'm sorry. What? What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? Is it because of my, you know what, it's probably because of my topology. I just want to see if that helps. Hold on. Helps a little bit. Okay, so that is part of it though. I hate to say this, guys, but I'm going to go back to my roots here. I'm going to bring this past the most ridiculous looking hat in the world, bro. This looks so bad. Oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed. Hold on. I am going to go ahead and go here. Oh, wait, how does it get worse? Hold on. Only I can make it worse, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that helped a little bit. All right, what I really meant to do is I meant to bring this up like that. Duh. God, I was overthinking the whole thing. But I still don't love it because it's not rounded like it used to be, because these pieces need to come in and they need to be brought back. This needs to slide. Oh my God, this whole thing needs to go. The whole thing needs to go. Hold on. Dissolve. Vertices. Dissolve vertices. There we go. Better. Better, better, better. And again, coming back here and SX. Does that look better? It definitely looks a little bit better, but why does everything look horrible now? Okay, and shade smooth. Oh, well, we're going to need some thickness, so we'll do solidify. Yeah, looks okay. Ugh. Oh God, it's awful. It's awful. Oh my God. We have a Pringle. Oh God, I hate modeling hats. This is the worst thing in the universe, actually. I just decided. one of the things that I'll probably mention to you is like sometimes I'll just kind of be working on a project and I'll just be totally done. This is one of those projects because I can already tell I'm going to get frustrated. Frustrated. This is cool though because you can apply. They actually have. I do want to show one thing off. They do have an asset library now. If we go here, we can go to asset browser. They have a couple materials we can plop in here that actually don't look that bad. If you scroll all the way down, where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. Fabric mesh. Is that the one? Yeah, there's like a fabric mesh material you can throw on this that like actually doesn't look that bad. There's also like fabric linen, which is not a terrible one either. Knitted, which is a classic. You can't go wrong. What I love about this stuff though is it's all procedural. Well, I'm pretty sure it's almost all procedural. Yeah. So you can kind of see like you actually get some really quick results. See what the denim looks like. Ah, not bad. The other sphere inside will give it denim. You can't tell the difference, right? Huh? And then imagine then you know, obviously if this was looking half decent, you could actually get some kind of a hat, right? Not terrible, right? Except for it is because I made it. And it's interesting, when you really zoom in on this texture, I can't believe that works. Like, but it does. Like it does work. From a distance, you can't tell, but it's like really like a weird texture. All right, what time is it? Oh my god, it's 10:42. Good lord. All right, guys. Well, listen, I am beat. I am absolutely beat. Quick question: how long have you been using Blender? 5 years. Is there anything else you guys want to see? Just like real quick. I know you're saying a crossbow. Were you saying like a low poly crossbow? I don't even know. I'm trying to think of what crossbow looks like. I think I have an idea, like a general idea. Like low poly. I don't really do low poly stuff. I like go over the top for no reason, you know. All right, guys. Well, listen, it is about that time. I'm beat. I'm ready to go to bed. I'm very tired. I would say my proudest creation though of the day, by far, was this. I think this was a really, really fun one, and I feel like we learned a lot. I was really, really, really happy with how this turned out. I would say this was my favorite thing we've created in a while. So. I feel like if it fell on the ground, you will hear a metal sound. Oh my god. That is funny. Low versus high poly. I promise we'll do it next time. I promise. I'm just so beat, guys. Guys, it has been fun. We'll talk to you in the next live stream.